Chapter 91. The two left the palace and went to the secret prison. A section of the road leading to the prison was paved with cement. When the carriage traveled on it, it was much smoother than other places. Xinyu lifted the curtain and looked outside. When Dahuan is paved with such roads, it will be much more convenient to go back and forth. When there is a chance in the future, I will take you around Dahuan. Okay, Your Majesty, you can't go back on your words. The secret prison was brightly lit and was surrounded by layers of imperial guards. Xinyu followed Shang Junlin out of the carriage inside. This is probably the most lively time in the secret prison. Wasn't it? In addition to the imperial guards, there were so many people who broke out of the prison. Xinyu seriously doubted that the secret prison could hold all these people. On the other side, knowing that the secret order and the people were taken away by young Master He was furious. Are you all idiots? You let him take them away. Didn't I say that except for me, no one else can touch these things? Master, you really can't blame us. The servant wanted to cry but had no tears. Young Master He took your letter and said that you ordered him to come. You also told us before that you would do something tonight, and asked us to be alert. We thought it was really you who sent young Master He. It could only be said that young Master He was too good at picking the time. After all, he was his eldest son. Master He wouldn't deliberately hide things from him. Except for some things that he really couldn't let him know. He would more or less reveal a bit of other things to young Master He. This time, it was the same. Family head He didn't have much vigilance against eldest young Master He, so he was easily tricked. Where is the letter? Show me. The servant took out a letter with trembling hands. Family head He took the letter and read it. He was so angry that he wanted to laugh. The handwriting and tone of the letter were almost the same as what he wrote. No wonder the servants didn't suspect anything. Besides, eldest young Master, he made use of the time difference to take the girl away without anyone being suspicious. Master, what should we do now? That unfilial son most likely knows where his younger brother is and brought people to save him. See if you can bring him back. If you can't, then there's still a chance of survival. If not. The servant didn't dare to delay and immediately left. However, before he could get far, he saw a group of Imperial Army soldiers surrounding him. In front of the well-trained Imperial Army, the He family had no power to resist. Patriarch He gritted his teeth and retreated to the secret passage with a few of his trusted subordinates. He had raised such a good son for nothing. In the end, Patriarch He and his eldest son, whom he missed dearly, met in the dark prison. By the time Xinyu and Shang Junlin arrived, all of them had been caught. Xinyu and Shang Junlin walked into the dark prison. The dark prison was filled with torches, so it was as bright as day. Xinyu looked at the dark prison under such light for the first time. Patriarch He and eldest young Master He were locked up next to youngest young Master He. Prince Yu was locked up in another place. The rest of the prison breakers were either executed on the spot or locked up together. Prince Yu had heard the movements in the dark prison. He thought that these people were here to save him. However, he didn't expect that these people didn't stop at the place where he was locked up. They went directly to another place and were caught by the Imperial Army soldiers who had been lying in ambush for a long time. Prince Yu was stupefied from the beginning to the end. He had been in contact with the outside world these days. Those people also said that they would save him today. He waited and waited with full expectation. Finally, those people came. However, those people didn't even look at him. There were special officials in charge of the interrogation. Shang Junlin brought Xinyu here just to see the situation. The leader of the Imperial Army followed beside the two of them and explained what happened that night. According to Your Majesty's order, I sent people to observe the eldest son of the He family in secret while guarding all the entrances of the secret prison. As expected, a group of unknown people met with the eldest son of the He family and headed straight for the secret prison. The rest of the matter was clear at a glance. Eldest young Master He, who was eager to save his younger brother, didn't know that he had fallen into the hunter's trap from the beginning. He brought people in and was caught red-handed. He directly accompanied youngest young Master He. After sending away the leader of the Imperial Army, Shang Junlin took Xinyu to the place where Prince Yu was locked up. You have expected this, right? You allowed me to send messages to the outside world. You have been waiting for this moment for a long time, haven't you? Prince Yu calmed down and thought of many details. When he was first locked up in the dark prison, he couldn't get in touch with the outside world. Why did he suddenly get in touch with the outside world one day? In addition, there were many things that were wrong. At that time, he was in a hurry to get out. Even if he noticed it, he didn't take it seriously. Now that he thought about it, there were too many flaws. Prince Yu is smart this time. Unfortunately, even if they want to save you, they don't dare to show up in person. They only dare to send some people from afar and hand you over to the unreliable He family. Shang Junlin sneered. Prince Yu was full of hatred. But now he was completely defeated. He could only watch as Shang Junlin stood in front of him with the posture of a winner. Shang Junlin was a high and mighty emperor who looked down on everything. But he was a prisoner who was crushed into the mud. His future was unknown. Xin Yu was also looking at Prince Yu. The difference between the current Prince Yu and the man in his previous life was too big. It was so big that he began to doubt whether they were really the same person. It turned out that without the so-called protagonist's halo and the praise that was deliberately applied to him, he was just such an ordinary person. Shang Junlin handed over the prison break to official Fang, who had hurried over and returned to the palace with Shen Yu. Along the way, Shen Yu didn't speak. When they arrived at Yuzhong Palace, Shang Junlin directly carried him out of the carriage. Are you still thinking about Prince Yu's matter? Shen Yu shook his head and nodded. He was thinking more about his previous life. He thought that what he saw with his own eyes in his previous life and the book he read after his death was the whole truth. At this moment, he suddenly realized that both of them were confusing. Sure enough, he couldn't rely too much on the so-called world's plot. Shang Junlin didn't put him down. He directly carried him and walked inside. Everywhere he passed, the palace servants lowered their heads. Shen Yu fluttered. Your Majesty, quickly put me down. I won't. Shang Junlin flatly refused. So many people are watching. Isn't it right and proper for me to carry my noble husband? Not only can I carry you, I can also kiss you, I can. Enough. Shen Yu didn't want him to continue, so he interrupted. If your Majesty wants to carry me, then carry me. As long as your Majesty doesn't dislike me for being heavy. How can I dislike you for being heavy? You should be fatter. It's more comfortable to carry. Shang Junlin weighed the young man in his arms. To him, Shen Yu's weight was really nothing. From a minor illness to a major one, Shen Yu's weight was still much lighter than a normal person's, even though he had recovered a little during this time. The He family was taken down in one fell swoop. Following the clues of the He family, they finally found traces of the mysterious power behind them. Although they couldn't find the real mastermind, it was much better than before. Shang Junlin arranged for the officials who were transferred back from other places one by one. The new officials who entered the imperial examination also gradually entered the imperial court. Everything seemed to be thriving. The Grand Commandant who planned the fraud in the imperial examination was removed from his position, and the position of Grand Commandant was vacant. The aristocratic families and the officials from poor families fought to the death in the imperial court for this position. Especially the aristocratic families, they had already lost too much. If the person who took the position of Grand Commandant wasn't from their faction, it would be a huge blow to them. As Shang Junlin promoted a group of new officials, the aristocratic family's monopoly of the imperial court was finally broken. Because of the aristocratic family's interference, the position of Grand Commandant was never decided. These disputes temporarily didn't affect the peace of Hanlin Academy. The two of you came together again? Jiang Huiqing smiled and greeted the person who spoke, replying, I rode on Brother Cheng Yu's carriage. You know, I'm a little embarrassed recently. The reason was that Jiang Huiqing took a fancy to a set of unique copies. He really wanted it and was worried that it would be bought by someone else if he was late, so he could only reluctantly buy it. I know. When you finish copying, don't forget to lend it to us. I won't forget. Jiang Huiqing was on duty with He Qingyu. At first, Jiang Huiqing had some misgivings and didn't want to get too close to him. Later, when he saw that his colleagues were easy to get along with, he acted much more casually. He still lived with He Qingyu. and the two of them went in and out together. The people in Hanlin Academy knew that they had a good relationship and often joked about it. Jiang Huiqing went from being embarrassed at the beginning to being able to face it calmly, and only 10 days had passed. That's right, I seem to have found one of the files you asked me to find last time. Do you want to take a look? Thank you. Jiang Huiqing's eyes lit up. It's been a few decades. Why are you looking for these? The person was curious. I admire the great scholars of the past and want to know more about them, Jiang Huiqing explained with a smile. That's right. You are indeed interested in these. I will help you pay more attention to other things. He didn't suspect anything. After all, Jiang Huiqing's hobby had been deeply rooted in the people of Hanlin Academy. It was normal for a person who could spend all his money to buy a unique book to be interested in the deeds of the great scholars of the past. Fortunately, he had a good relationship with Scholar He, so he could be helped from time to time. Xinyu occasionally received letters from Jiang Huiqing, and they were all about daily interesting things. Xinyu also wrote a few letters in reply. For some reason, Xinyu found that Shang Junlin didn't seem to like to talk about Prince Yu in front of him recently. Even if he asked, the topic would be changed after 2 or 3 sentences. Why does Your Majesty suddenly not want to talk to me about Prince Yu? After the topic was changed again, Xinyu asked. He wanted to know if Shang Junlin simply didn't want him to know about Prince Yu, or did he not want him to know about other things as well? Shang Junlin stroked Xinyu's neck and said in a hoarse voice, I brought you to the dark prison that day for selfish reasons. Ha! Xinyu was stunned. I know that when you were outside the palace, Prince Yu approached you. I wanted you to see Prince Yu. Your Majesty, Xinyu interrupted Shang Junlin. Does Your Majesty care about these things? Shang Junlin looked at him with deep eyes. The more you loved someone, the more you couldn't tolerate that person having any shadow of someone else. You could say that he was overbearing or paranoid, but he didn't want anyone else to occupy Xinyu's eyes and mind. He brought Xinyu to see Prince Yu because he wanted him to deeply understand that Prince Yu was not worthy of his love. After a long while, Shang Junlin held Xinyu's hand. I thought that I could ignore Yu's matters outside the palace, but I was wrong. I can't ignore it. Everything that happened to a Yu, I can't ignore it. Was what a Yu said to Prince Yu true? Did a Yu really just treat Prince Yu as my substitute? Chapter 92. Xinyu was silent for a moment. Your Majesty, why are you so clear about what I said before I entered the palace? He asked while knowing the answer. With the hidden dragon guards, everything in the capital could not be hidden from Shang Junlin. Since he was chosen to enter the palace, it was normal for him to be investigated. I know that Prince Yu once approached you with his identity hidden. Later on, you two had a conflict. Shang Junlin pinched Xinyu's chin and turned his head to face him. You answer my question. Shang Junlin's eyes were dark as he stared at Xinyu without blinking. A biting cold aura swept over. Xinyu narrowed his eyes uncomfortably. Your Majesty, don't you know what I think? Why do you care about Prince Yu? What is he? How can he be compared to Your Majesty? As for the matter between me and Prince Yu, Your Majesty must know my character very well. How can I be sincere to someone who approached me with an impure purpose from the beginning? Xinyu knew that since Shang Junlin asked, he would not be able to mediate this matter. No matter what kind of feelings he had for Shang Junlin, he did not want Prince Yu to be a thorn between them. He and Prince Yu had broken off completely in his previous life. In this life, there would be no involvement. I know that Prince Yu is not a good person. Shang Junlin gently stroked Xinyu's chin. I am not suspecting you. I know. Xinyu covered Shang Junlin's mouth. Your Majesty, you don't need to say this. I should have explained to you about Prince Yu. I said those words just to annoy him. Now it seems that maybe it was a prophecy. The only difference is that I have no interest in finding a substitute. If I love someone, I will do whatever it takes to get them. Even if I can't get them, I will not do something as immoral as finding a substitute. What's more, how can Prince Yu be worthy? In Xinyu's eyes, Xinyu was arrogant and unscrupulous. Shang Junlin knew that what Xinyu said was exactly what he thought. Shang Junlin loosened his grip on Xinyu's chin and suddenly pulled her into his arms. Zhen understands Ziyu. Xinyu patted Shang Junlin's back to comfort him. Your Majesty, you don't have to think too much. There is no fate between King Yu and me, and there will be no follow-up. Shang Junlin rested his head on Xinyu's shoulder. Who is a Yu's fate? Of course it's your Majesty. With your Majesty here, no one else would have a chance. Does your Majesty lack confidence in yourself? After receiving Shenyu's accurate answer, the haze in Shang Junlin's heart that had been covering him for many days was blown away by the wind. He tightened his arms and wished he could rub Xinyu into his body. Seeing that Shang Junlin was comforted, Xinyu was relieved. He didn't want King Yu to become a barrier between them. As summer came, the weather gradually became hotter. The courtiers received the news that they would go to the summer palace this year, and began to prepare. While preparing, they couldn't help but be curious. Why does His Majesty suddenly want to go to the summer palace this year? A few years ago, some courtiers proposed it, but they were all rejected by him. His Majesty has never enjoyed himself. This time, it may be because of you. No matter what the reason is, the successive emperors of Dahuan have all gone to the summer palace every year, except for our current His Majesty. To be honest, the summer in the capital is too hot. It's good to go there to avoid the summer heat. The one who spoke was the official who had written several times to ask His Majesty to go to the summer palace to avoid the summer heat. He thought that he would have to spend the summer in the capital until he resigned. He didn't expect the surprise to come so suddenly. The weather was getting hotter and hotter. Xinyu's clothes were getting thinner and thinner. His body temperature was still as cold as before. It was very comfortable to hold him in his arms. Shang Junlin held him in his arms whenever he had time. This made Xinyu suffer. Men were hot-tempered. In the winter, it was fine. He was a human-shaped big heater. Xinyu nestled in his arms and felt a steady stream of heat. It was very comfortable. It was different in the summer. Every time he was hugged by Shang Junlin for a while, he would sweat all over. There was a small lake in Yuzhang Palace. A pavilion was built on the lake. Since the weather became hot, Xinyu's favorite place became this pavilion. According to Xinyu's preferences, the pavilion was decorated in a new way. There was light-colored gauze hanging around, and there was ice in the corner. A cool breeze blew over the water, bringing a burst of coolness. Shang Junlin finished his work and returned to Yuzhang Palace. He looked around the room but couldn't find Xinyu. He walked straight to the pavilion. There had always been no shortage of ice in the palace. However, Imperial Physician Gu said that Xinyu's body wasn't good, so he couldn't be too cold. There wasn't much ice in the room. Although Xinyu was afraid of the cold in the winter, he was the one who was the most cold in the summer. After the pavilion was cleaned up, Xinyu came here most often. Shang Junlin lifted the gauze and saw Xinyu half leaning on the couch, reading a book. Young eunuch Meng was holding a fan and gently fanning Xinyu behind him. The palace servant knelt down to greet him. Xinyu put down the book in his hand and sat up. Your Majesty, are you done with your work? Yes. Shang Junlin walked to Xinyu's side and sat down next to him. When he was setting up the pavilion, due to space restrictions, the soft couch inside was much smaller than the one in Jade Gate Palace. Shang Junlin could be considered to have fulfilled a small wish of his. As soon as Shang Junlin leaned over, he brought a burst of hot air. Xinyu dodged to the side, and was caught by the man. Where are you hiding, Ayu? It's so hot. Xinyu refused to stick close to Shang Junlin. There is ice in the pavilion. Let me hug you for a while. Shang Junlin firmly held Xinyu's waist with one hand and did not let him go. Your Majesty, don't you feel hot? Xinyu was helpless. Shang Junlin rubbed his cheek. Ayu's body is very cold, but your Majesty's body is very hot. Xinyu leaned his body away, wanting to stay away from the man. Ayu likes to snuggle into my arms during winter. Why do you dislike me now? Shang Junlin pressed Xinyu's back and pulled him into his arms. Xinyu gave up struggling and half lay in the man's arms. Your Majesty also knows that it's winter. There was ice in the pavilion, so it was not that hot. Xinyu quietly lay there for a while, and the temperature of his body gradually dropped. He knew that the man would not let him go, so he simply found a comfortable position and continued to read the book on the side. How is the use of ice in your room recently? Shang Junlin asked Mu Shi, who was serving beside him. Mu Shi told him the amount, which was strictly according to Shang Junlin's instructions. Shang Junlin nodded with satisfaction. Shen Yu was speechless. He knocked his head against the man's chest. Your Majesty has already given an order to the people in my palace. Are you still worried that I will use more ice? You. Did you forget that you almost caught a cold last time because you were greedy for the cold? Shang Junlin pinched his earlobe. Shen Yu lowered his head guiltily. The weather suddenly became hot a few days ago, and he could not stand it, so he asked the palace people to put more ice in the bedroom. If Shang Junlin had not found out and removed some ice in time, he would have most likely fallen ill because of the cold. After that, Shang Junlin strictly controlled the amount of ice in his palace. Shen Yu read the book for a while, and suddenly thought of something. Your Majesty, is it only the influential families in the capital that can use ice? Some big merchants can also use it. Why? Most of the ice used in Dahuan in the summer was stored ice. Not to mention the huge amount of work, there were not many that could be preserved. Some families with the ability would store their own ice. Those who did not have this ability would choose to buy it. However, because of the quantity, the price was often higher, and ordinary people rarely bought it. I just suddenly thought of a way to make ice, and it's very simple. If we can make ice, the people in Dahuan can also use it. Shen Yu said the method he learned from the book. As one of the golden fingers of the main character in the book, Shen Qingran, it brought him some benefits. What method? Shang Junlin was interested. When saltpeter is dissolved in water, it can be made into ice. Shen Yu ordered people to bring saltpeter and water. After experimenting, he really got ice. Looking at the freshly made ice that was emitting cold air, Shen Yu's eyes flashed with a touch of complexity. In his previous life, when the king of Yu found out about this method, the first thing he did was to kill everyone who knew about it. Then he arranged for a group of mute slaves to make ice for him and sell it at a high price. In his previous life, Shen Yu did not know that the method to make ice was so simple. When he knew that the king of Yu used mute slaves to make ice, he thought that there was some secret behind it. This method is really convenient. Shang Junlin felt that the newly made ice was not much different from storing ice. Compared to storing ice in winter, it was much easier to make saltpeter. With this method, ordinary people can also use ice in summer. Mu Shi was so shocked by this scene that she could not close her mouth. After giving the things to Shang Junlin, Shen Yu did not ask any more questions. What Shang Junlin wanted to do with it was his business, as long as he did not end up as a money-making tool like the king of Yu. He knew that Shang Junlin would not do that, otherwise he would not have taken out these things. Shen Yu wiped his hands and lay back on the couch. With the addition of a basin of ice in the pavilion, it was even cooler. The palace servants kept looking at the newly made ice. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. Shang Junlin also stood beside the ice and looked at it for a while before sitting back on the couch. Once the news of the new method to make ice was announced, it caused an uproar in the imperial court. Everyone knew how hot the summer in the capital was. Those who had the ability to store ice would definitely store more in winter. Those who did not have this ability could only buy ice in summer at a high price. If they could make ice in summer, it would bring more convenience. I have not announced the method to the public for the time being. Shang Junlin changed out of his court attire and walked toward Shen Yu. I will let the imperial court control it for a period of time. When the conditions are right in the future, I will decide whether to announce it or not. The imperial court would set the price. This could prevent the ice from falling into the hands of a small number of aristocratic families and becoming their money-making tool. It could also prevent some unscrupulous merchants from selling the ice at a high price to other places in Dahuan. Your Majesty can decide. Shen Yu did not have any objections. After the date of the trip to the Summer Palace was confirmed, everyone in Yuzhang Palace became busy. A large group of people headed to the Summer Palace. Shen Yu was directly arranged to stay in Shang Junlin's residence. The Summer Palace was built halfway up the mountain. As soon as they came up, they could feel a burst of coolness. Shen Yu squinted his eyes in satisfaction. Your Majesty did not arrange a place for me to stay? Shen Yu looked around at the decorations. There were many things that could only be used by the emperor. You naturally has to live with me. Shang Junlin did not give him a chance to refuse. He directly picked him up and walked inside. The palace servants lowered their heads and focused on their own matters. Xinyu was already used to Shang Junlin carrying him here and there. He skillfully wrapped his arms around the man's neck and gently blew into his ear. I have been living with your majesty. The ministers won't say anything, right? Shang Junlin's footsteps paused. His eyes darkened. He quickly put him on the bed and ran his fingers across his cheek. You has to behave well. Chapter 93. Xinyu was a noble, so naturally, he should have his own residence in the palace. The quality of his residence would show how favored he was. At the beginning of the arrangement, the people in the palace had allocated a good courtyard for Xinyu. But Shang Junlin rejected it and arranged for Xinyu to live in his residence. When they were in the palace, it was Shang Junlin's biggest regret that he couldn't move Xinyu to his own palace. Now that he had the chance, he wouldn't let Xinyu live in another courtyard. Xinyu said those words to tease Shang Junlin. He didn't care what those officials thought of him. If he really cared about these things, he wouldn't have chosen to enter the palace in the first place. Xinyu was gently placed on the bed by the man. Then he hooked his arm around Shang Junlin's neck and didn't let him get up. Your Majesty, what do you want me to do? Shang Junlin rubbed Xinyu's soft lips with his fingertips. With a little force, his fingers sank into her lips. What does you think? Isn't spring already over? Xinyu looked at Shang Junlin with clear eyes. Shang Junlin reacted for a while before he realized what Xinyu was hinting at. He leaned over and covered the young man with his body. With you by my side, why do I need to wait until spring? Xinyu's tongue touched the man's fingertips. It was like a casual sweep, which easily aroused the desire in the man's heart. But your Majesty is going to see the ministers soon. Xinyu blinked innocently, as if she wasn't the one who had deliberately aroused the man's desire. Shang Junlin suddenly withdrew his hand, pressed the young man to himself, and kissed him fiercely. The man's kiss could never be called gentle. It was like a storm, with a strong sense of aggression. Every movement showed the intention of eating the young man. Xinyu was forced to raise her head and bear all the wind and rain that swept over her. Are you sure that I can't do anything now? Shang Junlin bit Xinyu's lips and slowly retreated. Xinyu's face was dyed with a layer of light pink. Her lips seemed to be painted with rouge. Her hair was spread out under her body, slightly messy. Your Majesty obviously started it first. The young man's eyes were watery and red. He lay down softly. Shang Junlin almost exhausted his lifetime of restraint, but he didn't do anything. I'll let you go this time. After he finished speaking, Shang Junlin got up. Xinyu tilted his head and laughed softly. He didn't know when it started, but he liked to see Shang Junlin's helpless expression. Your Majesty. Xinyu's eyes glanced at a certain place. No. After settling down here, he still needed to meet with the courtiers. This little time was not enough. Xinyu laughed enough and slowly sat up. In fact, he was also a little moved, but it was not as obvious as Shang Junlin. He was fine after a while. I also asked Imperial Physician Gu to come over. If you are not used to it, let him take a look at you. Shang Junlin tidied Xinyu's hair. Because he had helped Xinyu recuperate, Imperial Physician Gu had become the person Shang Junlin valued the most in the Imperial Hospital. This time, Shang Junlin had also brought him along. Officials were allowed to bring their family members to the Summer Palace. Imperial Physician Gu was worried about leaving Gu Huai alone in the capital, so he brought him along. The other courtiers also brought their wives and favored children. The Summer Palace, which had been cold for many years, suddenly became lively. After Xinyu tidied up, he brought Muxi out of the courtyard. This palace was built with the power of several generations of the great Huan dynasty's monarchs. As the monarch, the place where Shang Junlin lived was the best one. Young master, this place is so beautiful. The surrounding scenery was unique. Muxi couldn't take it all in. Yes, in terms of enjoyment, who can compare to the imperial family? This was the first time Xinyu came to this summer palace. When the late emperor was still on the throne, Duke Shunbei doted on the concubine's son. Even if he could bring his family members here, he would never think of Shen Yu, the legitimate son. On the contrary, Shen Qingran and Madame Ru came here because of Duke Xinbei. After Shen Qingran went back, he showed off in front of little Shen Yu. Shen Yu thought at that time that he must come here with his own strength in the future to see what it was like. Now, not only did he come here, but he also lived in the most honorable place. However, he no longer had the same mood as when he was a child. Who did Duke Xinbei bring here? Shen Yu asked. It's concubine Zhou, who used to be at odds with concubine Ru. Mushi had already found out. Shen Qingren didn't come? No, he's still locked up by Duke Xinbei. Duke Xinbei had been fighting with the forces of the King of Yu for a while. The trouble caused by Shen Qingren was also solved after a lot of effort. Now, whenever he heard Shen Qingran's name, he would feel annoyed. How could he bring him out? Shang Junlin brought nearly half of the officials here. Although he said it was to avoid the summer heat, in fact, it was just a change of location to deal with government affairs. There were still a lot of memorials to approve every day. Because he was not in the capital, the workload was heavier than before. Shen Yu saw that Shang Junlin was so busy every day that his feet didn't touch the ground. He sincerely felt that being the emperor was not a good job. Even if he was in the summer palace, Shang Junlin didn't relax his control of all kinds of things in the capital. Every day, the movements in the capital would be transmitted to the summer palace through a special channel. The summer palace was smaller than the capital. Shen Yu bumped into Duke Xinbei several times. He didn't know if Duke Xinbei did it deliberately, but every time Duke Xinbei saw him, he didn't do anything, so Shen Yu didn't care. Concubine Zhou, who followed Duke Xinbei, was warm and respectful to Shen Yu, as if she didn't hit him when he was down in the past. Shen Yu was too lazy to pay attention to them. Gradually, he didn't go out anymore. Young master, recently, there are a lot of good-looking young masters and young ladies around His Majesty. Do they really think that His Majesty is someone that everyone can covet? Mushi walked in angrily. Shen Yu put Shang Junlin's newly picked flowers in a vase. His Majesty will take care of it himself. He didn't know where Shang Junlin had learned recently, but he would bring some fresh flowers back every day. Some of them could survive. So Shen Yu asked the palace servants to find a vase and raise them well. Those that couldn't be dried were put in a storybook that he had already finished reading. Young master, aren't you worried at all? When Mushi heard the news, she was anxious to death. Now, she had completely recognized Shang Junlin's existence. She didn't want a third person to take away Shang Junlin's favor. Of course, she knew that as the emperor, it was impossible to have only one person in the harem forever. But she just couldn't accept that Shang Junlin, who said that he wouldn't accept any new people, had anyone beside Shen Yu. She often walked outside these days and heard a lot of news. His Majesty had clearly said that, so why were these people still dreaming of becoming a member of the harem? Shen Yu took a handkerchief and wiped his hands. He said neither too fast nor too slow. What am I worried about? What they think in their hearts is their own business. Can I care what they think? If they really enter the palace, what will you do? I brought you out to let you relax. Why are you more worried than in the palace? Don't worry, your young master won't let these things happen. Since Shang Junlin had promised him, he wouldn't have the chance to regret it. As for those who coveted Shang Junlin, he didn't mind doing what he said. Once they entered the palace, they couldn't blame him for not being able to get out. Shen Yu thought that these words would only spread in a small circle. He didn't expect that when he went out for a walk with Shang Junlin, he would encounter them. Miss is so beautiful. You're not inferior to Shen Guijun. As long as His Majesty sees you, he will definitely like you. But, Miss, don't say but. Eldest young master said that this is our best chance. If we succeed, Miss will be a concubine in the future. You won't have to worry about being casually married off. Inyang's life in the Fu will also be much better. You're right, the woman composed herself. Are you sure His Majesty will pass by here? Miss, don't worry. This servant has already asked around. You only need to wait here quietly for a while. His Majesty will come over. At that time, whether or not it succeeds depends on Mississippi at the corner. Shen Yu elbowed Shang Junlin. His Majesty is really popular. If I didn't follow him out today, Would he have a beautiful encounter with the woman in front of him? Is you jealous? Shang Junlin grabbed Xin Yu's arm and directly pulled him into his arms. He leaned close to his ear and whispered. From the beginning to the end, Xin only wants you. Xin thought you already knew. The conversation at the corner was still going on, but Xin Yu couldn't hear it. The wet touch spread from the back of his ear, little by little, until it reached his lips and stopped. Shang Junlin's lips were close to Xin Yu's skin. His hot breath sprayed on Xin Yu's face. I thought they had already given up. Xin Yu frowned. Shang Junlin had repeatedly expressed his attitude, but he didn't expect these people to still be unwilling. Shang Junlin's fingertips gently brushed the wrinkles between Xin Yu's eyebrows. How can they give up so easily? With the imperial power hanging in front of them, no matter how Xin expresses his attitude, they will still have this kind of heart. Do you think they are interested in Xin? No, they are interested in the power and interests behind Xin. Does His Majesty want to go out and see her? How could Xin Yu not know this? Since ancient times, how many women who entered the harem were completely willing? Zhen Ziyu is jealous. Why would Jin still want to see her? Shang Junlin suddenly picked up Xin Yu, turned around and left. The leaves rustled down. Not far away, two women turned their heads and only saw the swaying branches. Did someone come by just now? I don't think so. This servant didn't notice anyone. Xin Yu was carried all the way back to the bedroom. Eunuch Meng came forward and was directly reprimanded. Eunuch Meng didn't dare to stay, and led all the palace servants out of the room. Xin Yu was thrown onto the bed and pressed down by Shang Junlin. Shang Junlin was half a head taller than Xin Yu, and could completely wrap him under his body. Xin Yu was uncomfortable being pressed down by Shang Junlin, so he pushed Shang Junlin. Shang Junlin didn't move away. Instead, he moved closer and stared at the young man under him with his long and narrow eyes. Xin Yu narrowed his eyes and skillfully turned over to press down on Shang Junlin. Shang Junlin didn't expect Xin Yu's actions, and his eyes flashed with a trace of astonishment. Xin Yu sat on Shang Junlin's waist with one hand on his chest, and the other holding his chin. His Majesty attracts bees and butterflies. I want to punish His Majesty. Shang Junlin's tense body relaxed and his eyes flashed with interest. How does you want to punish Xin? Just punish His Majesty by not being able to move. Xin Yu finished speaking and bent down. Her black hair poured down and spread over Shang Junlin's entire chest. Shang Junlin's Adam's apple bobbed violently. This was the sweetest and most torturous thing. You let Xin touch you. Shang Junlin couldn't hold back anymore. He turned over and held Xin Yu down, then lowered his head and kissed him. The kiss went all the way down, accompanied by a light nibbling, and finally stopped at a certain spot. Xin Yu moved uneasily and suddenly felt that he was wrapped in warmth. Don't. Chapter 94. Xin Yu never expected that Shang Junlin would do such a thing for him. Xin Yu could not hold on to the quilt under his body. He felt like he was in the middle of a storm. He was thrown up high and could not fall down. The flowers by the window were blooming beautifully. The branches reached into the room and shyly closed the petals. After a long time, Shang Junlin released him. His Adam's apple moved as he swallowed the food in his mouth. Xin Yu was confused. When he saw this scene, his eyes were filled with turbulent waves. He even forgot what he wanted to say. Shang Junlin supported his body and moved upward. He found Xin Yu's lips and leaned over. Xin Yu tilted his head to avoid it. Shang Junlin turned his face. A storm was brewing in his eyes. Why are you avoiding me? Your Majesty did not rinse your mouth. Why do you dislike your own things? Shang Junlin found it funny. Xin Yu did not answer. He also did not give him a kiss. Shang Junlin left a trail of kiss marks on Xin Yu's cheeks and neck. Xin Yu's heart was itching. He got up and casually rinsed his mouth with water. He leaned over again. Is this enough? As soon as he finished speaking, his kiss fell on Xin Yu's lips. I want you. Accompanied by the sound of sucking and water. The man's voice was low and dangerous. Xin Yu struggled. His body was so weak that he could not escape from the man's shackles. Xin Yu frowned in discomfort when the place that had never been touched by anyone was suddenly visited. The man's kiss left his lips and covered his eyes. You relax. Xinyu could not relax. His body was stretched into a line. Shang Junlin tried several times, but Xinyu could not adapt. A thin layer of sweat appeared on their foreheads. Xinyu bit his lower lip to relieve the discomfort. Because of the pain, his face was pale. His lips were red and the corners of his eyes were red. His brows were tightly knitted. Kissing the side of his neck, Shang Junlin took a deep breath and resisted the urge to continue. Shang Junlin had been worried that Xinyu might not accept him easily, but he did not expect that things would be so difficult at the last moment. After the finger left, Xinyu felt a little better. He raised his hand and touched the sweat on the man's forehead. Your Majesty, please solve it yourself. How can you be so heartless? Shang Junlin closed the distance between him and Xinyu. Xinyu was firmly restrained by the man. She felt guilty and turned her face away from Shang Junlin. Shang Junlin pressed his thumb on his rosy lips and said in a low and hoarse voice, Ayu, can you help me in another place? Xinyu pursed his lips. Ayu even dislikes his own things. I won't force you. Other than here. Shang Junlin touched Xinyu's lips. His eyes were dark. There are other places where you can help me. I'm afraid that you will be tired today. After Shang Junlin finished speaking, he kissed the young man's lips again. This time, his actions were swift and ruthless. Xinyu was once again thrown up high by the churning waves. His tightly clenched fingers were forcefully separated, and the gaps between his fingers were invaded as he interlocked his fingers with Shang Junlin's. The sky gradually darkened. During the ups and downs, Xinyu was awakened by the man's actions several times. He was very tired. However, Shang Junlin was in high spirits and did it again and again. Unrestrained. Xinyu did not remember when he fell asleep. When he woke up again, the sky was already bright outside. His body was very fresh. It seemed that he had been washed. His clothes were dry and the bedding had been changed. Xinyu moved and instantly felt sore all over his body. Hiss. At the end of last night, Xinyu wanted to directly kick the man out of bed. However, every time he stretched out his leg, the man would grab it and play with it. After suffering a few losses, Xinyu could only let him do as he pleased. Xinyu did not know how others were like, but he knew that Shang Junlin's energy was definitely not something a normal person could have. Last night, he might have been stimulated and did it for longer than usual. It was more than just a little tired. Xinyu rubbed his sore wrist and wanted to sit up. Shang Junlin came in with a bowl of hot porridge and saw Xinyu getting up. The young man's face was flushed. His eyebrows and eyes were wrinkled. His lips were especially red and covered with a layer of water, like a ripe fruit that was tempting to be picked. As he moved, his thin clothes slid open, revealing a mottled area. Shang Junlin walked quickly to the bed, put the porridge aside, and helped Xinyu get up. Are you hungry? Shang Junlin calculated the time and came back with the porridge. Xinyu just opened his eyes. A little. Xinyu had not rested for almost the entire night. He looked tired. Knowing that he loved cleanliness, Shang Junlin asked the palace servants to bring hot water. After washing up, Xinyu put on a coat and moved to the soft bed. He was not very comfortable and was not in a good mood. Shang Junlin fed Xinyu spoonful by spoonful of porridge. Seeing that he was still a little tired, he asked, Do you want to sleep for a while more? Xinyu did not want to sleep anymore. Shang Junlin accompanied him for the whole day. In the evening, he was called away by the minister for a meeting. Shang Junlin dilly-dallied and refused to leave. Xinyu pushed him. Your Majesty, you should go do your business. Shang Junlin had no choice but to go. When he came back, Xinyu had already fallen asleep on the soft bed. Under the candlelight, Shang Junlin stared at his face for a while. Then he gently picked him up and put him on the bed. Perhaps he was too tired the night before. Xinyu did not wake up even after being carried around. The next day, Xinyu was still a little tired. Shang Junlin called Imperial Physician Gu to examine him. After Imperial Physician Gu finished checking his pulse, he glanced at Shang Junlin and lowered his head to think about the wording. Imperial Physician Gu, if you have something to say, just say it. Shang Junlin held Xinyu and massaged Xinyu's finger bones with one hand. Imperial Physician Gu made up his mind and tried to speak in a calm tone. Your Majesty has not fully recovered. Your Majesty needs to control your sexual activities. Shang Junlin paused. I understand. Imperial physician Gu prescribed the medicine and left. On the way back he shook his head and thought. Your Majesty has worked hard. Xinyu was in a daze for 3 days. On the 4th day he finally recovered. Have you heard anyone talking about entering the harem these days? Xinyu brewed a pot of tea for himself and asked Mu Shi. No. Her Majesty has warned those families who had thoughts about it. Now, at least they don't dare to show it on the surface. As for what they thought in their hearts, Mu Shi felt that her young master was right. How could she care about what these people thought in their hearts? Since the matter had been solved by Shang Junlin, Xinyu did not ask any more questions. Her Majesty has asked someone to make a swing. Do you want to sit on it? Mu Shi saw that Xinyu was in a good mood today and suggested. Xinyu had been cooped up in his room for a few days. He also felt that it was time to go out for a walk. The swing in the courtyard was very different from the one in Yuzhang Palace. Xinyu walked over and touched it. Then he sat down. The swing was set up under an ancient tree. The ancient tree was lush with branches and leaves, blocking the sunlight overhead. Xinyu took a miscellaneous book and slowly flipped through it. Who is trespassing? There was a noise outside. Xinyu pulled his mind out of the book and asked, What's going on? I don't know. Mu Shi looked confused. I'll go and take a look. After Mu Shi finished speaking, she turned and walked towards the source of the noise. After a while Mu Shi came back. Her face was a little ugly. It's a woman. She wants to see Her Majesty. The establishment of a new department in the Independent Ministry of Works had been put on the agenda. Shang Junlin had been busy with this matter recently. Now he happened to be discussing it with the Prime Minister and others. Did she say the reason? Xinyu put down the book. No. Mu Shi shook her head. She didn't summon anyone. The guards didn't let her in. She insisted. I sent someone to send her away. Even in the temporary imperial residence, it wasn't easy to see the emperor. Xinyu and Shang Junlin's residence was heavily guarded. If there was no summon, the guards wouldn't let anyone in. Ordinary people wouldn't force their way in for no reason. It was a serious crime to disturb the emperor. Xinyu got up from the swing. Take me to see her. Before he got close, Xinyu heard a woman's gentle voice. This voice gave Xinyu a familiar feeling. When he got closer, he saw that it was the person he met a few days ago. After he came back that day, Xinyu went for wool and came home shorn. He almost got himself killed. Now that he saw her, he suddenly felt a dull pain somewhere. That day, except for not going in, he did everything he should and shouldn't. In the end, Xinyu was so tired that he couldn't even lift a finger. What's going on? Xinyu coughed softly and interrupted the confrontation. Guijun. The guard bowed. This woman said that His Majesty left something with her. She wants to return it to His Majesty in person. But she didn't summon anyone, so I can't let her in. How could His Majesty leave something with you? Xinyu looked at the woman standing outside indifferently. The woman bit her lip. His Majesty went to Inu Pavilion that day. This humble woman met His Majesty there. The thing was also left there. Give it to me. I will give it to His Majesty for you. Xinyu didn't intend to let her in. This woman coveted the imperial harem. Her purpose for coming here today was probably not pure. No, I have to give it to His Majesty personally. The woman took a step back, her eyes red. Xinyu narrowed his eyes. Is your purpose to return the thing or to see His Majesty? If it's the former, just give it to me. If it's the latter, I advise you not to waste your time. Her purpose was naturally the latter. That day, she waited in the woods until late at night, but she didn't see His Majesty. When she went back, she was puzzled. The next day, she heard that His Majesty was furious and forbade them to have any evil thoughts. She was silent for 2 days. In order to relieve her depression, she got lost. She didn't expect to pick up the jade pendant that His Majesty dropped. At that moment, she realized that her opportunity had come. She also heard that Shen Guijun was a very scheming person in the palace. Her brother warned her not to confront this person. She didn't achieve her purpose, so she didn't want to make enemies easily. But she didn't expect that Shen Guijun would be so direct. being looked at by those clear eyes. It seemed that all the calculations in her heart couldn't be hidden. How can Guijun slander this humble woman like this? This humble woman just wants to return the jade pendant that His Majesty left in this humble woman's hands. There is no other intention. No matter what, she must never admit her thoughts. Jade pendant? His Majesty left the jade pendant with you? The young man's expression was unreadable. The woman felt a little uneasy in her heart, but she still nodded. I was wondering why His Majesty lost a jade pendant 2 days ago. It turns out that you picked it up. Shang Junlin didn't care if it was lost. It was only when Xinyu found that the jade pendant he wore was missing a piece that he realized that it was lost. Since it was lost, there is no need to take it back. But after all, it is His Majesty's personal item. It's not good to leave it in the hands of outsiders. Mushi, give me the jade pendant. Mushi walked to the woman's side. Regardless of her struggle, she took the jade pendant back and handed it to Xinyu. Xinyu didn't even look at it, and directly threw it on the ground. In an instant, the jade pendant was smashed into pieces. It's something that has been touched by others. Just destroy it. Chapter 95. This was worn by His Majesty. Aren't you afraid that His Majesty will blame you for destroying it? The woman didn't expect that Xinyu would be so unreasonable. Her face changed greatly. If I fell, then so be it. His Majesty will only care about whether I fell to my heart's content. Xinyu turned around and said coldly, send this girl back. How could the woman be willing to accept that her plan had failed before it could be implemented? She looked at the jade pendant that was broken by Xinyu, and her eyes flashed with resentment. What was worse than the thing that she wanted was easily taken away by others. She had waited for a long time for this opportunity, but it was easily destroyed by others. Moreover, it was in such a way. How could she not see that Xinyu was warning her not to touch something that she shouldn't covet? But why? Xinyu was just luckier than her. He entered the palace one step ahead of her. Why did he put on such a high and mighty attitude? Guijun, does His Majesty know that you are so jealous? I just wanted to return His Majesty's jade pendant, but you directly broke it. Xinyu stopped and looked at the woman coldly. I thought everyone knew that I am a person who can't tolerate sand in my eyes. Don't let me know that you have ideas that you shouldn't have in the future, otherwise. The pressure in the young man's eyes was like a mountain. The woman had no doubt that if she really dared to do anything, her end would be the same as the jade pendant. She was too careless. She almost forgot that there was a woman who deliberately fell on His Majesty and was still detained in Yuzhong Palace. She began to feel fear in her heart. No matter how ambitious she was just an unmarried woman. In terms of knowledge, how could she compare with Xinyu? What's the noise? A man's low voice sounded from behind. Xinyu tilted his head and saw Shang Junlin coming from another direction. He was originally discussing things with the Prime Minister and several ministers. Suddenly, he received the news that a woman wanted to see him. She also said that she wanted to return his personal belongings. Shang Junlin directly sent the messenger away and didn't plan to come out to meet her. If he didn't hear that Xinyu went out, he would never come out. Greetings, Your Majesty. Everyone present bowed. Shang Junlin excused their salutations. He didn't even look at the delicate woman who was about to cry and walked straight to Xinyu. Is you feeling better today? Ever since that night, Xinyu had always been listless. Shang Junlin was extremely anxious. He only felt relieved after Imperial Physician Gu confirmed that Xinyu was fine. For the next few days he did not dare to cause trouble. It was rare for Xinyu to have a good rest for a few days. His spirit had also slowly recovered. On the way here, Shang Junlin already had a rough idea of what had happened. She was just a stranger to him, so he was too lazy to waste his time on her. Xinyu snuggled into Shang Junlin's arms. Your Majesty, I broke your jade pendant, you won't blame me, right? You doesn't like it. It's just a jade pendant. Shang Junlin held Xinyu's hand and put it in front of his eyes. Is you injured? Xinyu was a little unhappy at first, but she was amused by Shang Junlin's action. It's just a jade pendant. How can I be injured? Next time, if you don't like it, You can let the people around you break it. You don't have to do it yourself. Shang Junlin pinched Xinyu's fingers. That woman. Xinyu looked sideways at the woman outside. The woman finally met Shang Junlin. She originally wanted to do something. It would be better if she could plant the seed of Xinyu in Shang Junlin's heart. However, she didn't expect that Shang Junlin didn't care about the others at all. He didn't even look at her. The woman's face was pale, and she was on the verge of collapse. However, no one pitied her because of her weakness. How many people from the palace were innocent? They could see the woman's true intentions at a glance. Now that she didn't achieve her goal, and the emperor didn't punish her, why did she pretend to be bullied? Someone send her back. She will be punished by copying the precepts for women. Order the elders in her family to take good care of her. I don't want the same thing to happen again. Yes. Also, Shang Junlin slowly rubbed Xinyu's fingers. Next time, don't let these people cause trouble in front of the emperor. If they disturb the emperor's mood, I will hold you responsible. Yes. Your Majesty allowed these people to bring their family members here. It's a grace to them. Who would have thought that these people would have so many thoughts behind the scenes? Xinyu certainly knew that the woman wasn't the only one with such thoughts. Whether it was for power or for other reasons, there would always be moths to a flame. Shang Junlin was swift and decisive. He didn't leave any face for the woman. Not long after, everyone in the palace knew that the daughter of the assistant minister of the Ministry of Revenue had failed in her attempt to get close to the emperor, and had been disliked. The assistant minister of the Ministry of Revenue flew into a rage. Lock up this disgraceful thing. Without my permission, no one is allowed to let her out. He knew that his daughter had some thoughts. To be honest, he was also a bit moved. Looking at Shen Guijuan's current treatment, he knew that if his daughter entered the palace and was favored, what kind of glory would it be? Because of this, he didn't stop his daughter's actions. However, he didn't think that Shang Junlin would be so merciless. Now, who didn't know what his daughter had done? She received mocking looks from others. Because the assistant minister of the Ministry of Revenue was born in an aristocratic family, his path had been paved by his elders. He was just waiting to be promoted to the Minister of Revenue. When had he ever encountered such a situation? Your Majesty is putting the face of the Tan family on the ground and stepping on it. The assistant minister of the Ministry of Revenue fiercely downed a cup of wine. That's not all. Your Majesty has his own ideas. Do you really think that he's only targeting the Tan family? He clearly wants to use this matter to make an example out of us, and warn us not to have thoughts that we shouldn't have. Your Majesty's prejudice against the aristocratic families isn't new. Originally, we planned to send more sensible aristocratic daughters into the palace to ease the tension between the two sides. Who would have thought that Your Majesty would be blinded by a man and not want anyone else? Our plan can only be put on hold. Allowing those rumors to spread was also a form of probing. In the past, the emperor lived in the depths of the palace, and had almost no contact with the aristocratic daughters. In the palace, as long as the emperor wanted, he could see the aristocratic daughters at any time. Perhaps the emperor would change his mind after seeing how good the aristocratic daughters were. The emperor didn't care about those private rumors. Just when they thought they saw an opportunity, the emperor's fierce attack directly shattered their fantasies. The emperor didn't tacitly agree. He clearly wanted to find an opportunity to deal with it once and for all. After this, who would dare to have such thoughts? No matter what they thought, at least they wouldn't dare to show it. Every family would restrain their family and their subordinates. The aristocratic families couldn't afford to lose face. After Shang Junlin's outburst, Xinyu didn't encounter similar things again. Mushi also said that no one dared to talk about these things in private. Xinyu was quite satisfied with this result. No one would be happy if their own people were constantly being targeted by others. Even during the hottest time of the year, the temperature in the palace wasn't too high. It was even a little cold at night. Finally, Shang Junlin wouldn't be despised when he hugged Xinyu to sleep. A batch of memorials was sent from the capital every 3 days. Today was the day to send memorials again. Xinyu watched Eunuch Meng instruct a group of eunuchs to move the memorials into the study room. Then he moved the memorials out and sent them back to the imperial city. Why are there so many memorials this time? Xinyu walked in and took a look. He was surprised. Those aristocratic families who stayed in the capital received news about the palace. Most of them are probably related to that incident. After Shang Junlin finished reading the memorials in his hand, he put down his pen and instructed, Meng Chong, sort these memorials and put the less important ones aside. Eunuch Meng deftly went to sort the memorials. Shang Junlin led Xinyu out of the study room. The people in the capital have already used ice. The Ministry of Works asked me for the recipe to make ice, but I haven't given it to them yet. Now the people who were arranged to make ice were all people from the imperial farmsteads. These farmsteads belonged to Shang Junlin. Shang Junlin had specially instructed them not to leak the recipe to make ice. Your Majesty, don't give it to them yet. Xinyu suddenly thought of another use of saltpeter. To make weapons with great lethality. After the new department is established, I want to put the recipe there. Shang Junlin was talking about the Bureau of Natural Resources that was being prepared by the Imperial Court. It was independent of all the departments in the Imperial Court and directly under the Emperor. At the beginning, it was agreed that the officials in the Bureau of Natural Resources would not have the same power as the 6 ministries. After this plan was put forward, not many people opposed it, except for the Minister of Revenue. After the Bureau of Natural Resources was established, a lot of money was bound to be invested. The Minister of Revenue valued the money in the national treasury more than anyone else. He only wanted to spend every penny on the blade. I want the Bureau of Natural Resources to be completely separated from the Imperial Court. If the profits from the things made can be used as the cost of the next research, then we won't be restrained by any forces in the Imperial Court. I want a pure Bureau of Natural Resources that won't have too many entanglements with other officials. Shang Junlin explained his plan. Xinyu felt that this was quite good. Did the Minister of Revenue impeach me again? Ever since that incident, the Minister of Revenue didn't like Xinyu. He could find a reason to impeach Xinyu no matter what he did. He also did a lot of things that deliberately distorted the facts. You don't worry. I will avenge you. Shang Junlin had also been eyeing the position of the Minister of Revenue for a long time. The two strolled to the lake. The lotus flowers in the lake were growing well. An exquisite boat was parked on the shore. Xinyu pulled Shang Junlin over. Your Majesty, do you know how to row a boat? A little. Then he knew how to row a boat. Your Majesty, how about we row a boat? Seeing the interest in Xinyu's eyes, Shang Junlin didn't refuse. Eunuch Meng wanted to call a few imperial bodyguards who knew how to row a boat over, but Shang Junlin refused. He got off the boat first, then took Xinyu. The boat wasn't big, just enough to accommodate 2 people. Shang Junlin rowed the boat to the center of the lake and stopped. Xinyu reached out to the lotus heads not far away. He successfully plucked one, broke it open, and put one into his mouth. It was so sweet. Shang Junlin saw that Xinyu liked it, so he rowed the boat closer. He plucked some and put it beside Xinyu. You likes it. When we go back, I'll ask the kitchen to make some lotus seed snacks for you. Do you have them in the palace? Of course. There are many different kinds of lotus flowers in the palace. The weather in the temporary imperial residence was cool. Even if the sun shone down, it wouldn't be too hot. Shang Junlin was afraid that Xinyu would get sunburned, so he broke off a lotus leaf and held it above Xinyu's head. Xinyu ate the lotus head. It was sweet in his mouth. He peeled one and put it beside Shang Junlin's mouth. Your Majesty, have some too. Xinyu's hands were very white. Under the sunlight, his fingers became more lustrous. It was hard to tell whether the lotus seed or his fingers were more attractive. Shang Junlin's Adam's apple bobbed up and down. Chapter 96. Shang Junlin lowered his head and sucked on the lotus seed along with Xinyu's finger. After biting it gently, he released it. It's very sweet. Xinyu didn't know if he was referring to the lotus seed or something else. Xinyu withdrew his hand as if he was scalded. Under the man's increasingly aggressive gaze, his face gradually turned red. You try it. After speaking, Shang Junlin leaned over, pulled the young man under his body and kissed him. Xinyu had just eaten the lotus seed. The sweetness of the lotus seed was like sweet dew in his mouth, tempting him to suck on it. The sweetness of the lotus seed lingered between their lips and teeth. Shang Junlin pressed Xinyu down and deep in the kiss. The lotus leaves had unknowingly leaned to one side and covered their faces. After the kiss, Shang Junlin slightly distanced himself from Xinyu. One of his hands was still on Xinyu's back, supporting him from falling down. Xinyu was panting slightly, and there was a touch of rouge at the corners of his eyes. Shang Junlin's eyes became darker and darker. You? Xinyu felt Shang Junlin's interest and turned his head. Your Majesty, Eunuch Meng and the others are still on the shore. If you lower your voice, they won't find out. Shang Junlin raised his hand and brushed away Xinyu's messy hair. His fingers lingered. No. Xinyu refused without thinking. Your Majesty, how many days do you want me to lie down this time? This time, I won't do it like last time, okay? Shang Junlin knew that he had indeed gone too far that day. Except for not really going in. Xinyu had been bullied by him from top to bottom. Xinyu looked around. The place where they were was surrounded by lotus leaves, far from the shore. No one on the shore could see what they were doing. Didn't the imperial physician say that your Majesty should control yourself? Recalling that night, Xinyu didn't want to agree. He was not averse to this kind of thing, but if it was like last time, then forget it. His body could not withstand Shang Junlin's torment. How long has it been since I last messed with you? Shang Junlin lowered his head and rubbed against the young man like a big clingy dog. Xinyu was annoyed by him. The two of them were so close together that any of their reactions would be easily detected by the other party. Shang Junlin sensed something and leaned on Xinyu's shoulder, laughing softly. You wants it too, doesn't she? I don't want to. Xinyu glared at him. If he hadn't rubbed against him, would he have become like this? Okay, I promise just once, okay? Shang Junlin did not give up. His warm breath sprayed on Xinyu's neck. Xinyu had no choice but to relent. Only once, with your hands. Like a dog that had eaten meat, Shang Junlin's eyes suddenly lit up. The unrowed boat swayed gently, ripples of water rippling under the boat. Xinyu bit her lips to prevent the sound from overflowing. The man's lips lingered on her neck, all the way up, swallowing all the sound into his stomach. The sun gradually set in the west. The palace servants waiting by the shore looked anxiously at the center of the lake from time to time. Mushi looked anxiously for a while and asked, Eunuch Meng, do we need to find Her Majesty and Guijun? It had been so long. Why was there no movement at all? Eunuch Meng could not make up his mind. Without Her Majesty's orders, they could not act rashly. Wait a little longer. If Her Majesty and Guijun do not come out before dark, we will send people to find them. Xinyu's body moved up and down with the rocking of the boat. She struggled to avoid the man's kiss. Her Majesty said that she would only. I didn't lie. Be good, come closer. Shang Junlin nibbled the delicate skin on Xinyu's neck and coaxed in a hoarse voice. He didn't lie, but it took a little longer. Xinyu was so angry that she bit Shang Junlin. The man paused for a moment, then became even more ruthless. Just as Eunuch Meng was hesitating whether to send the guards to find them, a small boat slowly appeared in front of them. Eunuch Meng took the lead to welcome it. Shang Junlin carried the young man wrapped in a black robe and got off the boat. Eunuch Meng quickly ordered people to stop the boat, and walked behind Shang Junlin. Your Majesty, go back first. The man's voice was full of satisfaction. Eunuch Meng tactfully stopped talking and followed behind Shang Junlin with his head lowered. Inadvertently, he saw an arm hanging down from the black robe. The white skin was covered with red marks. Eunuch Meng hurriedly looked away and did not dare to look anymore. Xinyu was not asleep. His leg only hurt. What surprised him more was that Shang Junlin actually carried those small bottles with him. Why did your Majesty bring these? Xinyu half leaned on the bed and played with the jade bottle in his hand. He took it out from Shang Junlin's robe. One bottle was fine, but Shang Junlin actually brought several bottles. The jade bottle was thin and long. As it was played with by the fair and slender fingers, it seemed to have some kind of arousal. Shang Junlin thought of the pair of hands that held him just now. The skin on the palms was tender and slightly cold to the touch. He was addicted to the taste. Your Majesty? Seeing that he was distracted, Xinyu stopped what he was doing. Shang Junlin coughed softly. I just thought that it would be more convenient to carry it with me. What was convenient? Xinyu did not want to think about it. Shang Junlin suddenly reached out and held Xinyu's hand. Together with the bottle in his hand, he wrapped it in his palm. Do you feel uncomfortable now? I'm fine. Except for a few places. This time, it was indeed fine. When he woke up the next day, Xinyu was in good spirits. Except for some places that were still a little uncomfortable. Compared to the last time, there were no sequelae. Young master, Her Majesty sent people to deliver a lot of lotus seeds. Mushi led people to move the lotus seeds into the room. There were indeed a lot. Xinyu counted silently. It was enough for him to eat for a few days. Shang Junlin was still worried about Xinyu, so he called Imperial Physician Gu over the next day. Your Majesty's body is fine. Imperial Physician Gu said after taking his pulse. Xinyu also felt that he was fine. I told you that there was no need to trouble Imperial Physician Gu to make a trip. Let Imperial Physician Gu take a look. I'm more at ease. After that, Imperial Physician Gu was invited to the study to ask about Xinyu's physical condition in detail. In the middle of the night, Xinyu was awakened by the noise. Shang Junlin patted his back. I'll go take a look. You can continue sleeping. After that, Shang Junlin put on his coat and went out. Xinyu lay down for a while but couldn't fall asleep. He simply sat up and asked Mushi to light the lamp. What's the situation outside? It seems that a minister's residence caught fire. Mushi had been waiting outside the room. She heard the news from a palace servant. How could it catch fire? The emperor and important ministers of the imperial court lived in the palace. Which one of them wasn't a noble? The servants were always very careful. It was almost impossible for such a big accident to happen. Xinyu put on a cloak and walked outside. At a glance, he saw the blazing fire. This direction seems to be the residence of a certain aristocratic family. Xinyu muttered. It's the residence of the assistant minister of the Ministry of Revenue. Why did you come out? Shang Junlin walked in from outside and directly pulled Xinyu into his arms. At night, the temperature in the palace was low. Xinyu nestled in the man's arms for a while and gradually felt warm. I couldn't sleep, so I came out to take a look. I've already arranged for someone to put out the fire. Don't worry. Shang Junlin touched Xinyu's hair. The fire in the palace was not a trivial matter. Whether it was man-made or accidental, it needed to be thoroughly investigated. Shang Junlin sent Xinyu back to his room to continue resting. He went to meet the ministers. The Prime Minister and others had been waiting in the study for a while. After Shang Junlin came in, he sat in his seat and knocked on the table. What do you think of tonight's incident? The answer given by Lord Tan is that the servants accidentally knocked down the candle flame, and the house burned. Fortunately, it was discovered early and didn't cause too much damage. Who was injured? Except for Miss Tan's face, everyone else is fine. Do you think it was an accident? In my opinion, it doesn't seem like it. Why was Miss Tan the one who was injured, and after such an incident? Because Shang Junlin wanted to punish the chicken to warn the monkey, he didn't hide what happened that day from the public. Now, only a few days after the incident, Miss Tan almost died in the fire. No one would think that it was a coincidence. In the small courtyard of the Tan family, Miss Tan had just been rescued from the fire. She was still in shock and leaned in the arms of a servant girl. She knew better than anyone that tonight's fire was not an accident. If she hadn't been on guard, she wouldn't have been able to walk out alive. She touched the untreated wound on her face, and her eyes were obscure. You're so embarrassing. You even embarrassed yourself in front of His Majesty. If you don't have the life, don't have such ambition. In the end, you'll only implicate us. The Tan family's legitimate daughter looked at Miss Tan condescendingly. Her tone was full of sarcasm. You're really lucky to be able to escape from such a fire. Miss Tan silently clenched her fists. Father, in my opinion, we should just send away those careless servants. No one was injured anyway. The Tan family's legitimate daughter had always disliked her younger sister, who was born of a concubine. It wasn't because of the difference between legitimate and concubine, but because her good sister was like her yin-yang. They liked to pretend to be weak. Every time she did something wrong or wanted something, as long as she put on a bullied face, she would get what she wanted. This time, she was even more daring. She went directly to His Majesty and didn't even look at herself. She dared to covet that position. The result was that the Tan family became the laughingstock of everyone. "All right," the assistant minister of the Ministry of Revenue scolded. "Call a doctor for your sister to look at her face." The assistant minister of the Ministry of Revenue didn't want to look at this disgraceful daughter, and left with a flick of his sleeve. When he thought of explaining these things to His Majesty, he had a headache. But he couldn't not go. When Shang Junlin returned, the sky was already bright. Xinyu didn't sleep well in the latter half of the night and got up early. The servant made lotus seed porridge and presented it to her. The snow-white lotus seeds floated in the bowl. Xinyu used a spoon to poke at them. "Why are you up so early?" Shang Junlin walked in. "Mushi, go and bring a bowl of porridge for His Majesty." After Xinyu gave the order, she answered Shang Junlin's question. "I couldn't sleep. How is the matter being handled?" For the time being, we only found out that it was an accident. The assistant minister of the Ministry of Revenue also insisted that it was a servant's mistake and didn't intend to investigate further. Shang Junlin sat beside Xinyu. The palace servants quickly brought the lotus seed porridge over. "His Majesty, have some too." Shang Junlin picked up the porridge and finished it in a few bites. Xinyu also put down the bowl and wiped her mouth with a handkerchief. The assistant minister of the Ministry of Revenue is standing at the cusp of the storm. He hopes more than anyone that this is just an accident. After the palace servants finished cleaning up, Shang Junlin pulled Xinyu's hand and walked to the bed. "You sleep with me for a while." Xinyu thought that he didn't sleep for most of the night, and didn't refuse. After changing clothes, Shang Junlin hugged Xinyu and lay down on the bed. "It's still more comfortable to stay with you." She was soft and fragrant when he hugged her. Even if he didn't do anything, Shang Junlin could hug her for a whole day. On the other side, in the study room with the doors and windows tightly shut, the middle-aged man asked in a deep voice, "How is the matter?" "Rest assured, my lord. I have already spread the news according to your request. When the sky is bright, everything will be as you wish." Chapter 97. Xinyu lay in the man's warm arms and soon fell asleep. Shang Junlin looked down at him. He didn't feel sleepy at first, but after looking at Xinyu's peaceful sleeping face for a while, he gradually felt sleepy. Not long after, Shang Junlin also fell asleep with him in his arms. After sleeping for a while, Xinyu woke up feeling refreshed. He touched his side and found that Shang Junlin was not there. He must be busy with government affairs. Hearing the noise, Mushi came in to serve him. After washing up, Xinyu took a book and asked, "Did something happen? Your expression didn't look right when you came in." Mushi pursed her lips and didn't know if she should tell Xinyu. Xinyu rolled up the book and gently knocked on her head. "Tell me what happened." "It's outside. People are saying that you ordered someone to set the fire last night." Mushi was indignant. "You didn't do anything. How can these people slander you for no reason?" Xinyu restrained the smile on his face and sat on the soft couch with the book. "Tell me the details." "This morning, when I went out, I heard people secretly saying that there was something wrong with the fire last night. Someone deliberately set it to get rid of Miss Tan. Otherwise, why would Miss Tan's room catch fire among so many rooms? It was indeed man-made, but I don't know the real purpose of the person behind the scenes." Xinyu hid the deep thought in his eyes. It's not a big deal for them to talk about this, but for some reason, they all suddenly agreed that it was you who set the fire. They said it was because you couldn't tolerate other people around His Majesty, and Mushi couldn't continue. Xinyu picked up the teacup and took a sip. "Continue." "They said that His Majesty originally took a fancy to Miss Tan and wanted to bring her into the palace, but you refused. You even had a big fight with His Majesty and drove Miss Tan out. You also spread rumors to tarnish Miss Tan's reputation." Hearing this, Xinyu understood that the ultimate target of this fire was him. "Does His Majesty know?" Xinyu asked. "I found out early this morning. Before His Majesty left, He told us not to disturb your rest. Didn't he tell you not to tell me about this? No. Mushi shook her head. She only told us not to worry if you knew about it. Her Majesty will take care of it. How many people think so now? Other than those who serve here, it's spreading everywhere else. When Mushi heard the rumors, he immediately went outside to inquire about the news. The more he heard, the angrier he became. Young master, don't worry. His Majesty has already sent people to deal with it. Xinyu shook his head. For this kind of thing, if we can't come up with a truth that is enough to convince them, it won't really stop. As the saying goes, 3 men make a tiger. Even if he didn't do it, the more people who talked about it, the more they would implicate him. This was probably one of the motives of the mastermind. Xinyu was right. Even though Shang Junlin ordered people not to talk about it in private, the rumors didn't disappear immediately. Instead, they spread more and more. Not only in the temporary imperial residence, but also in the capital. Shang Junlin received the secret message from the hidden dragon guards. His eyes were clouded and the air pressure around him was getting lower and lower. Call the Tan family members over. Eunuch Meng didn't dare to delay. He called the Tan family members over as fast as he could. Official Tan and Miss Tan, who had just had ointment applied on her face, came over. Have you heard the rumors outside? Shang Junlin sat on the throne and said coldly, Your Majesty, I am innocent. Official Tan knelt down in fear. I don't know where the rumors came from. I can swear that I didn't do it. I don't know anything. Miss Tan knelt down silently and didn't say anything. Is that so? Shang Junlin's voice was indiscernible. Then why did the rumors come from the servants of the Tan family? I really don't know. Your Majesty, please understand. Official Tan kowtowed heavily. There was only fear in his heart. When he heard the rumors, Official Tan's heart turned cold. Even if he was given 10 guts, he wouldn't have dared to spread such rumors. Everyone knew that Shin Guijun was His Majesty's most beloved person. Was he trying to court death by doing such a thing? Shang Junlin also knew that Official Tan didn't do it. Official Tan didn't have the guts to do it. He turned to look at one of the people involved. Did you notice anything wrong last night? This humble girl is certain that someone wants this humble girl's life. The lady, whose expression couldn't be seen clearly, suddenly raised her head. Last night, after I fell asleep, I vaguely felt that someone was walking around in the room. There was also a conversation that was suppressed. I didn't hear what they were saying. Not long after, the room was on fire. There is one more thing. I don't know if it counts. Before I fell asleep last night, an unfamiliar servant girl brought me a bowl of bloody swallow's nest. She said that my father saw that I was injured and specially sent someone to bring it to me. I felt that something was wrong, so I didn't eat the bowl of swallow's nest. I didn't dare to sleep too deeply at night. If she ate the swallow's nest, and it happened to be drugged with sleeping pills, she would most likely have died in the fire. Shang Junlin ordered people to watch over the Tan family. There were many suspicious points in this matter, especially when it involved Xinyu. Shang Junlin couldn't remain rational. Your Majesty, don't frown. Xinyu reached out and smoothed out the wrinkles between the man's eyebrows. Shang Junlin took the opportunity to hug Xinyu. He buried his head in his neck and took a deep breath. I would rather they wanted to deal with me. His Yu was so good that he didn't dare to hurt her in the slightest. Those people were bold and directly used such a vicious method to deal with him. The more Shang Junlin thought about it, the lower the pressure around him became. When he caught those people, he would definitely let them know what it meant to live a life worse than death. Xinyu stroked Shang Junlin's back. All right, Your Majesty, don't be angry. There is nothing to be angry about. It was just slander. What kind of words had he not heard before? When he worked for King Yu in his previous life, he had been scolded by all kinds of people. Compared to that, this was nothing. I won't allow them to talk about a Yu like that. A Yu is so good. How can I let them slander her? They don't deserve it. Xinyu's heart warmed. She relaxed in the man's arms. Does Your Majesty know who did it? Shang Junlin didn't have many clues. Your Majesty, do you want to know who did it? Xinyu blinked her eyes. You knows? Shang Junlin raised his head and looked at him curiously. I don't know now, But I will know soon. Shenyu smiled and whispered into Shang Junlin's ear. You is really? Shang Junlin laughed. Your Majesty, just do what you need to do. As for the rest, you just need to lend me a few hidden dragon guards. This matter was not only limited to the officials on the surface. Shang Junlin had also instructed the hidden dragon guards to investigate. The Tan family was placed under surveillance, and every servant was interrogated. Their hard work paid off. They finally found a clue. The rumors became more and more intense. It was to the point where they could hear people talking about it everywhere they went. Everything is going according to your expectations. I believe that in time, your wish will come true. The subordinate complimented him. You have done well this time. After this matter is settled, the things that I promised you will belong to you. Thank you, Your Majesty. The subordinate was delighted. You may leave. Keep an eye on the situation outside. Yes. Imperial physician Gu and Gu Huai also heard the discussion about this matter. I believe that Your Majesty is not such a person. Imperial physician Gu had been in contact with Shenyu for a period of time. He trusted Shenyu's character. Brother is right. If Your Majesty really wants to deal with Miss Tan, why would he use such a stupid method? In the short period of time that they had spent together, Gu Huai clearly understood that Shenyu was not a fool who would do such a stupid thing because of jealousy. It is probably to sow discord between Your Majesty and Your Majesty. Your Majesty has been in the palace for so long, and has always dominated Your Majesty. Your Majesty also dotes on Your Majesty and refuses to take in concubines. Those who want to send their daughters to stabilize their status can no longer sit still. Imperial physician Gu sighed. I don't know if Your Majesty will believe Your Majesty. Those people don't think about it. If Your Majesty doesn't like them, what's the use of sending them into the palace? They will not get any benefits and will be implicated instead. Gu Huai was very disdainful of this kind of behavior that used women to gain status and power. It is a pity that some people are blinded by power, and will never understand this point. Gu Huai nodded in agreement. The people behind the scenes wanted to wait until the day when Shenyu would be neglected by Shang Junlin. Unfortunately, after waiting and waiting, Shenyu and Shang Junlin got along as usual. Even Shang Junlin was more clingy than before because he was worried about Shenyu. This was different from what he had imagined. When the people behind the scenes saw the news from their informants, they were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. Darren, Your Majesty summons you. A servant's voice came from outside the room. He hurriedly put away the letter beside him and strode out of the room. When he arrived, he found that there was no one else except for Shang Junlin and Shenyu. Your Majesty, Your Majesty. Shang Junlin didn't say anything, so he could only kneel. Gradually, uneasiness surged in his heart. Darren, I don't think there is much hatred between you and me, right? Shenyu's calm voice broke the silence. Darren Yi's heart palpitated. I don't know what Your Majesty is talking about. Otherwise, why would Darren Yi commit arson and injure people and point all the evidence to me? Shenyu looked at him calmly. The uneasiness in Darren Yi's heart gradually increased. He forced himself to remain calm and said, Even if you are Your Majesty, you can't slander a court official. He did it very cleanly. Even if he gave himself away, he would only point all the evidence to Shenyu. It would be impossible for him to be discovered. Whether it is the truth or slander, Darren Yi knows better than anyone else. If you don't want people to know, don't do it in the first place. Shenyu stood up and walked in front of the kneeling man. Darren Yi has read so many books. Don't you understand this simple principle? It seems that Darren Yi still refuses to admit it. Shenyu sighed in distress. Darren Yi is so confident that we won't be able to find any evidence? Darren Yi stiffened his neck and didn't speak. In fact, we won't be able to find anything. Who asked Darren Yi to personally send the evidence to us? The blood swallow's nest is such a precious tonic. Darren Tan would never give it to a concubine's daughter, who brought shame to the family. Not every aristocratic family has the Yi family's background. Of course, one swallow's nest doesn't mean anything. What if we add this? Shenyu took out a rolled-up piece of paper from his sleeve. There was a special pattern printed at the end of the paper. It was used by Darren E. to send messages to the capital. How did you get this? Darren E. reached out to take it, but Shin Yu withdrew his hand. Now you are willing to admit it? Chapter 98. Lord Yi's actions were tantamount to admitting Shin Yu's words. His expression changed again and again as he slowly retracted his hand. He had seen the seal on the paper very clearly. It was used to contact the people in the capital. The detailed arrangements to incite the people to slander Shin Yu were all sent to the people in the capital through this seal. Now that Shin Yu was holding one of them, did he have the other one as well? This was not the only thing he had written in the letter to the capital. There were many other things that could not be known by outsiders. Lord Yi's face turned ashen when he thought of the consequences if His Majesty found out. Do you admit to your crimes? Lord Yi, who had been immersed in his thoughts, was startled awake by the cold voice. He looked forward in panic. After a moment, he kowtowed heavily. I admit to my crimes. As expected, Shin Yu put away the letter in his hand and walked slowly back to Shang Junlin's side. He sat down. Why are you targeting me? As far as I know, the Yi family has no plans to send their children into the palace. After the incident with the Tan girl, Shang Junlin had sent people to investigate which worlds had taken action. The Yi family was not among them. It could be said that the Yi family had never had such thoughts. Lord Yi was silent. Shin Yu cracked his fingers. Let me guess. It's because of Yi Jianming? Since there was no conflict of interest in the harem, he must have done something unfavorable to the Yi family elsewhere. Shin Yu searched his memories. This was the only thing that matched. Yi Jianming was stripped of his imperial results, and will never be able to become an official. Your family spent a lot of effort to nurture him. Unfortunately, before he could do anything for the family, he was abandoned. You were unhappy and targeted me. Do you think that if I had not appeared at the Qianglin banquet, His Majesty would not have punished Yi Jianming? Shin Yu's every word pierced through Lord Yi's heart. He had never failed like this in his entire life. Yi Jianming was the child he valued the most. He liked him the most among the younger generation of the Yi family. Yi Jianming's intelligence was not inferior to others. He had high hopes for his successor, but because of a small matter, he was ruined. How could he take this lying down? After that incident, although Yi Jianming did not suffer any physical injuries, the child's mental state had undergone a huge change. He was muddle-headed all day long and did not look like a young master of an aristocratic family at all. As for the people who went to the Qianglin banquet with Yi Jianming, of course he did not let them go. They were just some small family clans that relied on the Yi family. It would be easy to deal with them. Since Your Majesty and Your Highness already know everything, I have nothing more to say. Lord Yi slumped to the ground. Shin Yu was not surprised that they would make a move against Jiang Huiqing, who seemed to have no foundation at all. The imperial court was like this. It was always accompanied by mutual deception, open strife and covert struggle. Political opponents fought to the death. The imperial court seemed to be stable now, but it was the result of Shang Junlin's efforts to balance the situation. I want to know, how did Your Highness get the letter? The thing that made Lord Yi unable to quibble was the rolled-up letter that Shin Yu took out. He would only choose his most trusted subordinates to send letters. Once they found out, they would destroy the letter at all costs. No one else knew how the letter was sent. How did the letter end up in Shin Yu's hands? Lord Yi was puzzled. You're asking about this? Shin Yu's eyes swept downwards. What do you think? Lord Yi was taken away by the guards waiting outside. Before he left, he did not get a reply from Shin Yu. Of course, Shin Yu wouldn't tell him that he was the one who used the letter to scare him. Yu's imitation skills are really good. Shang Junlin's hand reached into Shin Yu's sleeve and took out the letter that made Lord Yi's expression change greatly. His fingertips slid across her soft skin, causing her to tremble. Shang Junlin hugged Shin Yu from behind. Then he wrapped his arms around her waist and stretched them forward to unfold the letter. If Lord Yi was here and saw the letter being unfolded, he would definitely scold them for being shameless. Besides the pattern that Shin Yu drew at the end of the letter, there was nothing else on the letter. In the beginning, They did not have any clue about the mastermind behind this incident. Later, Shang Junlin listened to Shen Yu's suggestion and asked the hidden dragon guards to secretly search for the mastermind behind this incident. They really caught the person who delivered the message. However, when the person realized that he had been discovered, he immediately destroyed the letter. The hidden dragon guards brought back the news and the destroyed letter. Shen Yu pieced together the pattern and created a similar letter. However, a fake letter was still a fake. If Lord Yi was not distracted by Shen Yu's words, he might have realized that something was wrong. Unfortunately, there was no if. The rumors in the capital have been controlled. Now that the mastermind has been found, it's time to deal with the situation in the palace. If Shen Yu did not want to lure the mastermind out, Shang Junlin would not have allowed the rumors to circulate in the palace for so many days. How does your majesty plan to deal with this? Shen Yu's wrist was held. The man's callous fingertips caressed the inside of his wrist, causing him to feel numb. If it was in the past, Shang Junlin would definitely kill the person who spread the rumors. However, he knew that Shen Yu did not like this. After a moment of silence, he asked, "How does you plan to deal with them?" Shen Yu turned and looked at Shang Junlin. "Your Majesty can do whatever you want with the leaders. As for the rest of them, they will be fined 1 year's salary as a warning to others." The rumors disappeared as quickly as they appeared. In less than half a day, no one in the palace dared to talk about it anymore. As for the capital, Shang Junlin had already ordered people to suppress the rumors. The people in the capital were not as gullible as Lord Yi thought. After what Lord Yi had done spread to the capital, everyone was enlightened. I said before that Lord Yi would not do such a thing. Look, the results are out now. Lord Yi was indeed framed. This Lord Yi, could it be that he is related to Yi Jianming, who was jealous of a poor student and wanted to get his results revoked? They both have the surname Yi. What do you think? No wonder he wanted to slander Lord Yi. If it was not for Lord Yi, that poor student would have been bullied by others. His words were met with agreement. There were many aristocratic families in the capital, but there were even more ordinary people. These aristocratic families were used to being superior and thought that they were superior. The ordinary people did not have a good impression of them. Compared with the aristocratic families, they were more likely to bring in poor students. Not only this, have you forgotten that fraud was discovered in time before the imperial examination? It was Lord Yi who discovered it first. Lord Yi is so considerate. How could he kill a woman because of jealousy? When those words were first spread, I felt that something was wrong. Before Lord Yi entered the palace, His Majesty's harem did not have many women. After Lord Yi entered the palace, His Majesty said that he only wanted Lord Yi in this life. How could he like another woman in the blink of an eye and take her into his harem? If His Majesty really wanted to, his harem would have been full. A few years ago, the ministers did mention this matter. Don't you think it is suspicious? So there is no such thing as His Majesty taking in new people. Since there is no such thing, Lord Yi's jealousy and arson cannot be established. I have a cousin who works in an aristocratic family. Did you know that a few days ago, the aristocratic family was reprimanded by His Majesty? The reason was that a woman from an aristocratic family deliberately got close to His Majesty and was punished. The person who punished her was not Lord Yi, but His Majesty himself. At this point, everything that should be understood was clear. The cause and effect relationship was wrong from the beginning. Since this was the case, no matter how dignified the reason behind it was, it would not hold water. Restaurants and tea houses were all talking about this matter. Under the deliberate influence of some people, the wind quickly reversed. The truth is finally out. I knew that Brother Yu was not that kind of person. Jiang Huiqing heard the discussion downstairs and poured a cup of wine for himself. He Qingyu picked up the wine cup and took a sip. The relationship between His Majesty and Lord Yi is stronger than gold. It is not something that can be casually interfered with. That's right. I don't know what these aristocratic families are thinking. His Majesty has already made it clear that he will not fill up the harem, but they still don't stop. Since ancient times, wealth and power have moved people's hearts. What they want is the power behind His Majesty. The aristocratic family's appetite is getting bigger and bigger. Jiang Huiqing knew this as well. Only after stepping into the imperial court did he realize that the interior of the Great Huan dynasty was vastly different from what he had imagined. The seemingly stable exterior was only supported by a strong pillar. Once this pillar collapsed, it was only a matter of time before the Great Huan dynasty collapsed. He also understood why His Majesty would put poor officials in important positions. It was not because he liked them, but because the court had been controlled by the aristocratic families for a long time. If there was no power to oppose them, the imperial power would become a joke sooner or later. Official Yi was sent back early, and the crimes he committed were also announced to the world. The Yi family's power in the capital was quickly divided up by other aristocratic families. The competition between aristocratic families is even worse than that between aristocratic families and poor families. If you think that they will be united, then you are gravely mistaken. Shen Yu put down a white piece. Under the shade of a tree, Shang Junlin and Shen Yu sat opposite each other. Between them was a red sandalwood chessboard. Shang Junlin had specially ordered the palace servants to find it in the storeroom. Shang Junlin held a black piece and put it down. In fact, the aristocratic families and the imperial family are not much different. In the previous dynasty, during the war, there was a saying that the aristocratic families are made of iron, and the imperial family is flowing water. Before Dahuan was founded, this land had experienced 100 years of war. It was not until Dahuan was founded that the situation improved. Your Majesty, I am going to win. On the chessboard, as the last white piece was put down, the situation instantly reversed. The white pieces, which were originally at a disadvantage, quickly surrounded the black pieces and cut off all their escape routes. Shang Junlin threw back the piece in his hand and said crisply, I admit defeat. Your Majesty, you have lost today. You have to keep your word. Of course, I will not disturb you tonight. Shen Yu breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing that his body did not have any abnormalities after that time, Shang Junlin wanted to disturb him every time. He called it getting used to it. Shen Yu felt that he did not want to get used to this kind of thing. Your Majesty. Eunuch Meng walked over quickly with a rare look of panic on his face. Sun Zhao, official Sun wants to see you. Let him come in to see me. Eunuch Meng took the order and left. Not long after, a slightly embarrassed man in his 30s came in. Your Majesty, the north is suffering from a drought. Your Majesty, please send relief as soon as possible. Chapter 99. Subei was the name of several cities in the northern part of the Great Huan dynasty. In the early years, Shang Junlin had left some men there to fight. Later, when he returned to the capital and shifted his focus, he did not completely let go. Officials like Sun Zhao were all arranged by him to stay in Subei. What's going on? Shang Junlin did not receive any news of the drought in Subei. Otherwise, he would not have stayed in the temporary imperial residence as if nothing had happened. Mu Shi, first serve official Sun a pot of tea. Shen Yu saw that Sun Zhao was travel-worn. It was obvious that he had rushed back. Sun Zhao was indeed thirsty. When Mu Shi brought the tea over, he did not refuse and directly drank it in one gulp. Only then did he slowly explain the situation in Subei. 3 months ago, it rarely rained in Subei, but at that time, it would occasionally rain a little. Subei has always been like this, so this subject did not take it to heart. Until a month ago, Subei began to have continuous sunny days. For a month, there was not a single drop of rain. The crops could not withstand the drought and died one after another. The people in Subei were short of food. This subject had no other choice but to take out a portion of the army's rations to help the people, and send a memorial to the imperial court in hopes of receiving some assistance. Subei was an important pass in the northern part of the Great Huan dynasty. If the Subei army was not stationed there all year round, it would be easy for the nomads to invade the Great Huan dynasty. However, the living conditions in Subei were very bad. There was little rain and drought all year round. If the Subei army was not stationed there, and the imperial court sent a batch of supplies there every year, it would be very difficult for ordinary people to survive. We did not receive your memorial. Shang Junlin's voice was cold. No one knew where the memorial requesting for disaster relief was now. This subject also guessed that the memorial might not have been delivered, so I rushed back. This subject returned to the capital without being summoned, and is willing to accept punishment. Sun Zhao had been by Shang Junlin's side since before he ascended the throne. He naturally knew that Shang Junlin could not ignore Subei. There was only one possibility for him not to receive a reply from the imperial court after waiting for so many days. His memorial did not reach Shang Junlin's hands. Shang Junlin knocked on the stone table. This is an urgent matter. We will arrange for someone to go to Subei. You can go and rest first. This was his action when he was thinking. Before Sun Zhao came here, he was prepared to be condemned. His confidants had repeatedly advised him not to take the risk. If his memorial reached His Majesty's hands and nothing happened here, he would only end up not being able to return. Of course, Sun Zhao knew that he could afford to wait, but Subei couldn't. Neither the army nor the people of Subei could afford to wait. He took out the booklet that he had been keeping in his bosom. This subject has written down the disaster situation in Subei. Eunuch Meng took the booklet and presented it to Shang Junlin. We understand. Meng Chang, bring Lord Sun to the west courtyard. Don't spread what happened today. Your servant obeys. What do you think, Your Majesty? Xinyu was not in the capital at this time in his previous life. He also fell seriously ill, so he did not know much about what happened this summer. As for the book he read after his death, it was written from Shen Qingran's perspective. The only description of this period of time was that he was bullied in the palace. Sun Zhao would not lie about this kind of thing. Not only Sun Zhao, but we also did not receive any memorials from any other officials in Subei. It seems that there is a big problem in Subei. If there is a problem with the officials in Subei, this matter is not as simple as just disaster relief. We will send the hidden dragon guards to investigate. As for the specifics, we will decide when the hidden dragon guards return. Shang Junlin flipped open the booklet. The more he read, the tighter his frown became. The disaster in Subei was more serious than expected. Starving people were everywhere, and people were swapping their children for food. Every scene was shocking. Shang Junlin was holding Xinyu when he read the booklet. Xinyu also happened to read the description on the booklet. When Sun Zhao wrote the booklet, he did not put too much personal emotion into it. He tried to write it as calmly and directly as possible. He only revealed a trace of emotion when he could not control it. It was precisely this kind of emotion that was revealed when he was suppressed to the extreme that could touch people's hearts. Your Majesty, let's arrange the disaster relief first. Otherwise, Subei would collapse on its own before the enemy attacked. Shang Junlin had already made a decision in his heart. He rested his head on Xinyu's shoulder and rubbed his face against Xinyu. We originally wanted to have fun here for a few days. After such a thing happened, they must return to the palace immediately. After all, there were many inconveniences in the temporary imperial residence. As long as I'm with Your Majesty, it's the same everywhere. Xinyu rubbed against him back. That night, Shang Junlin ordered them to return to the capital ahead of time. The ministers also knew about the incident in Subei and packed up their belongings as quickly as possible. Early the next morning, the mighty group sped up and returned to the capital. Xinyu sat in the carriage and lifted the curtain to look outside. They had only stayed in the temporary imperial residence for 20 days. If they returned now, the capital would still be very hot. After going down the mountain, the temperature gradually increased. Xinyu changed into thin clothes and put a small basin of ice in the carriage, but she still felt very hot. The first half of August was one of the hottest periods in the capital. Originally, they would stay in the temporary imperial residence until the end of August and return when the capital was not so hot. However, their plan could not keep up with the changes. After such a big incident in Subei, they could only return to the capital ahead of time. The ministers did not dare to complain. They all knew the importance of Subei. Compared to temporary enjoyment, they certainly wanted long-term stability. They did not want to experience the turbulent situation when the previous emperor was on the throne again. The capital received the news early. The Ministry of Revenue prepared disaster relief materials according to Shang Junlin's decree. When the large group returned to the capital, the Ministry of Revenue had already taken care of everything. Although the Minister of Revenue was very stingy when the Minister of Works asked for money, when it came to disaster relief, he would not hesitate to spend more money. Shang Junlin summoned the ministers for a meeting, so Xinyu returned to Yuzhang Palace. Even if the master was not there, everything in Yuzhang Palace was the same as before. Xinyu looked at the pots of flowers that were growing well, and sat by the window. Did something like this happen in his previous life? How was it resolved in the end? In that book, Shen Qingran's incident in the Imperial Palace was only briefly mentioned. Xinyu could only recall the memories of his previous life over and over again. It was already 9 months later when he recovered from the serious illness. It was said that the tyrant killed many ministers and his reputation among the people fell a step. What about before that? His memories seemed to be covered by a layer of fog. He could not see clearly. Gongzi, do you want to try the new snacks made by the kitchen? Mushi's words pulled Xinyu's thoughts back. Xinyu looked at the colorful glass bowl that Mushi was holding. What is it? I heard that it was inspired by Miss Xinyu. It was made with fresh fruits and small ice cubes. Knowing that Gongzi likes sweet things, they also added honey in it. Xinyu was curious about the snacks made of ice cubes. Let me see. The bowl was only the size of a palm. When it was close, Xinyu found that the bowl was transparent. It was just that the color was darker and could not be seen from a distance. This bowl. Xinyu took the bowl in his hand. His fingertips touched a piece of ice cold. In the bowl, there were fine ice cubes and small pieces of various fruits. Under the droplets of water that had not yet fallen, they were bright and juicy. They looked very appetizing. This glass bowl is a newly made product. It is said that it was made according to Xinyu's recipe. I heard that Miss Xinyu has a whole set of transparent and colorless bowls. It is just that the shape is very strange. It must be the glass that Xinyu mentioned before. Xinyu took a spoonful of fruit and put it into his mouth. It was cold when it entered his mouth. The freshness of the fruit did not decrease because of the coldness. Instead, it had a different taste. Moreover, it was cold and very comfortable to eat. It is indeed a pleasure to eat such snacks in summer. Go and ask the kitchen to make more. I will send some to His Majesty later. Unconsciously, Xinyu had finished a whole bowl of snacks. He was somewhat unsatisfied, but he also knew that his body did not allow him to eat more. Yes. After eating some iced drinks, Xinyu was not as agitated as before. He simply took a pen and paper and painted aimlessly. Xinyu was proficient in zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. In his previous life, in order to better help the king of Yu, he learned everything that he could. No matter how much Count Jinbei did not care about him, the son of the first wife, he still found a teacher to teach him the things that the children of aristocratic families should learn because it involved the face of the Count Jinbei's family. No matter how unwilling concubine Ru was, she could not disobey Count Jinbei's decision. Later, in order to win over the reclusive great scholars, Xinyu put in a lot of effort and learned these things to the extreme. Although he was reborn, the things that he learned in his previous life were still deeply imprinted in his mind. Outside the window, birds were chirping. Inside the room, the young man in blue was sitting by the window and concentrating on painting. The painting paper covered the table. Shang Junlin approached with light footsteps. He did not want to disturb this scene. On the rice paper, there were a large number of scattered peach blossoms. It seemed to be without any order, but if one looked carefully, one could see the abundant spring in it. When did your majesty come? Xinyu put down the pen and saw Shang Junlin standing by the table. Why didn't you call me? Look at how serious you are painting. Ayu's peach blossoms are very beautiful. The ink was not dry, so Shang Junlin could only look at it in a flat position. I just painted a little. Xinyu rubbed his wrist and stood up. He looked at the sky. He had been painting for almost 2 hours. Shang Junlin consciously walked over and rubbed Xinyu's wrist. He was very good at doing this. Today the small kitchen made some new snacks. They taste very good. Your Majesty, do you want to try some? Xinyu asked Mushi to go to the small kitchen and get some snacks. Shang Junlin did not have a strong appetite. After Shen Yu entered the palace, he tasted a lot of new foods with Shen Yu. He knew how good Shen Yu's tongue was. Anything that could be praised by him must be delicious. Mushi brought over 2 glazed bowls, one big and one small. Shen Yu looked at the big bowl in front of Shang Junlin, and the small bowl in front of him. He raised his eyebrows and said, "Mushi, it's not good to side with Her Majesty so openly, right? Young master, don't make fun of this servant. Imperial Physician Gu said that you should eat less food that is too cold." A small bowl was the limit. Although Shang Junlin spoiled him, when it came to Shen Yu's health, he insisted on his principles more than anyone else. Shen Yu saw that it was hopeless to change the small bowl to the big one, so he focused on eating in his bowl. Shang Junlin found it funny. "Your Majesty, why do you keep looking at me?" Shen Yu looked up and saw that Shang Junlin kept looking at him. The fruit in his bowl did not decrease much. He sighed in his heart. If he did not eat, he could give it to him. Shang Junlin slowly fed him a mouthful of fresh fruit. His eyes did not leave Shen Yu throughout the whole process. The man's eyes were burning, as if he was not eating fruit, but something delicious. The man's eyes lingered on his face and lingered on his lips for a long time. Shen Yu was restless under his gaze. The coldness in his mouth could not alleviate the heat that kept surging up. Shen Yu's bowl was empty. He felt uneasy under the increasingly hot gaze, so he got up and wanted to leave. The sudden force from his wrist dragged him back. Before he could react, the man in his arms had already kissed him. Something cold was passed into his mouth. Is it delicious?" Chapter 100. Extreme heat and extreme heat intertwined. The ice was not big, but it occupied the remaining space. Shen Yu had no place to put her tongue, so she could only dance with it. There was no way to retreat. The ice gradually melted in her warm mouth and slid down from her slightly open lips. Shang Junlin let go of Shen Yu and licked the water off her chin. Shen Yu leaned on the man's arm and panted slightly. "It's really delicious." The man's lips were close to Shen Yu's skin. His voice was slightly hoarse, and his words came through the gap. Shen Yu only felt that the heat on her body was getting more and more obvious. She ate ice, but she only felt heat. "Your Majesty, let go of me. It's so hot." Shen Yu steadied her breathing for a while, and pushed the arm that was tightly wrapped around her waist. Shang Junlin's body temperature was too high, like a big heater. This kind of temperature was very comfortable to hug in winter, but it was very uncomfortable in summer, especially now that it was the hottest time in Dahuan. Although there was ice in the room, in order to take care of Shen Yu's body, there was not much ice. The two hugged for a while, and it only made them feel hot from inside out. Shang Junlin saw that Shen Yu's face was red, and a layer of fine sweat appeared on his forehead. He had no choice but to loosen his grip a little. Why are you so afraid of heat? Were you like this in the past?" Shen Yu was stunned by Shang Junlin's question. She couldn't help but ask herself in her heart, was she also afraid of heat in the past? She didn't think so. In her previous life, she was only afraid of the cold. Winter was very difficult to endure, but when summer came, she was not like now. "I wasn't like this in the past." Shen Yu looked at Shang Junlin. "Before entering the palace, I shouldn't be so afraid of heat." Shang Junlin raised his hand and stroked Shen Yu's face. Her white cheeks were dyed light pink, and her temperature was indeed a little high. In comparison, Shang Junlin's hand was colder. It felt very comfortable to touch her burning face. Shen Yu unconsciously tilted her head and rubbed against his hand. She squinted her eyes slightly like a delicate cat. "Let the people from the Imperial Institute of Medicine come and take a look." Shang Junlin held Shen Yu's face and gently bit his lips. Imperial Physician Gu was invited over. Before they arrived at Yuzhang Palace, the palace servant who invited them had already informed Imperial Physician Gu of Shen Yu's situation as instructed. The more Imperial Physician Gu listened, the tighter his brows became. There must be a demon behind this abnormality. It seemed that there was nothing wrong with Shen Yu's sudden fear of heat. In fact, with Shen Yu's physique, he shouldn't be so afraid of heat. Imperial Physician Gu carefully checked Shen Yu's pulse, but he still couldn't find anything wrong with his pulse. Looking at Imperial Physician Gu's expression, Xinyu knew that the result this time was the same as before. Other than the sudden fear of heat, there was no other discomfort in his body. Actually, there is another possibility, Imperial Physician Gu pondered for a moment. After a period of recuperation, Gui Jun's body gradually returned to normal. It is normal for him to be afraid of heat. In the past, Gui Jun's body was disturbed by cold air. No matter how hot the outside world was, it would be offset by the cold air. Since he couldn't find any other reason, Shang Junlin temporarily believed Imperial Physician Gu's words. After a while, the sky was already dark. After instructing eunuch Meng to send Imperial Physician Gu away, Shang Junlin picked up Xinyu and pressed his forehead against Xinyu's. "I hope everything is as Imperial Physician Gu said." Xinyu patted the back of his neck. "I'm really fine. I've never really felt the summer temperature of Dahuan's capital. Maybe it's because my body can't adapt to it that I'm more afraid of heat than ordinary people." Shang Junlin reluctantly believed this explanation and grunted. Xinyu purposely changed the topic. "Your Majesty, has the candidate for disaster relief been decided? The Imperial Court is still discussing it. Zhen intends to send Fang Jun." Shang Junlin sat down with Xinyu in his arms. To enter the cabinet, Fang Jun's current achievements are still a bit lacking. Fang Darren is fair and honest. It's good that he's going to Subei. The aristocratic families won't let go of this opportunity. Ayu is right. The aristocratic families have repeatedly failed and can't sit still. If there isn't a member of the aristocratic families among the officials sent to Subei, they won't easily agree. Does Your Majesty want them to go? And the matter of Subei can't be delayed. Zhen doesn't want to waste too much time on this matter. If they are willing to do a good job, Zhen will naturally reward them well. The ministers all knew the importance of Subei. They didn't encounter any resistance in organizing disaster relief. Although the aristocratic families and the humble families had accumulated grievances for a long time, they wouldn't ignore the big picture in this matter. Those who didn't care about the big picture had already been dealt with by Shang Junlin. Those who were able to stay until now didn't allow themselves to make major mistakes. They may have their own thoughts, but in the face of such a matter, no matter how many thoughts they had, they would be well hidden. The officials who would go to Subei to provide disaster relief were quickly determined. With Fang Jun as the leader, an official from the aristocratic families as the assistant, and a few other minor officials, the group paid their respects to the emperor at the palace gates and headed to Subei with supplies. Considering the internal problems of Subei, Sun Zhao returned to Subei first. Only his confidants knew that he came to the capital with a light carriage. In order to avoid alerting the enemy, he didn't show his face in the capital. Other than Fang Darren, the other ministers didn't know that the report about the disaster in Subei was personally delivered by Sun Zhao to Shang Junlin. Not long after Fang Darren left, the capital was hit by a rain. The high temperature was finally dispelled a little. After the rain, the weather was cool and refreshing. Xinyu and Shang Junlin changed into casual clothes and left the palace. Xinyu planned to take a look at the operation of the shops. The carriage clattered on the bluestone paved road and passed through the alleys. In the carriage, Xinyu sat beside Shang Junlin and talked to him about the shops. "Some of the shops in my hands were left to me by my mother. These shops are the same as the manor. They didn't go through Jinbeiho's hands and were directly handed over to me. The rest of the shops were awarded to me when I was conferred the title of noble lord, and some were given to me by Jinbeiho before I entered the palace." Although Jinbeiho's mansion was declining, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. After generations of accumulation, Jinbeiho had a lot of good things in his hands. When Xinyu entered the palace after concubine Ru's marriage, Jinbeiho was worried that he would be resentful and gave him 3 times more dowry than usual. Of course, Xinyu wouldn't refuse free things. He took as much as Jinbeiho gave him. "I haven't seen these shops since I entered the palace. Since I came out with Your Majesty today, I can take Your Majesty to see them." Xinyu was in a hurry when he entered the palace. After the shops were given to him, he didn't have time to check them one by one. He could only hand them over to his subordinates to handle. The account books were handed to Xinyu through Mushi every month. Even if Xinyu didn't have a chance to see them, He had a certain understanding of the situation of these shops. As the emperor, Shang Junlin had a lot of assets. There were special officials in charge of these, so he didn't need to worry about them. After a while, the carriage stopped in front of a shop that sold the 4 treasures of the study. Xin Yu and Shang Junlin got off the carriage and stood outside. They saw the words Wenxian Pavilion written on the plaque. This handwriting. Shang Junlin looked at it for a moment and whispered in Xin Yu's ear. Did you write it? When the man spoke, his hot breath hit her earlobe. Xin Yu reached out and touched it. I wrote it casually. I didn't expect them to use it as a plaque. Yu, when are you going to write some for me? Xin Yu felt his fingers being rubbed by something soft. He nodded. Your Majesty can write anything you want. Let's go in first. Although this shop wasn't on the busiest street in the capital, there were a lot of people coming and going nearby. Xin Yu could feel people looking at them from time to time. Shang Junlin chuckled and let him go. He held Xin Yu's hand and walked into the shop. As soon as they entered the shop, they could feel that this shop was different from other shops. A light incense lingered in the shop. Because they sold the 4 treasures of the study, the decoration of the shop was very elegant. Brushes, ink, paper, and inkstone were arranged in different categories. When they came in, they could directly choose what they wanted. The decoration of this shop is very novel. There were shelves that were about the height of a person in the room. The shelves were separated by a partition. Brushes, ink, paper, and inkstone were placed on the partition for people to choose from. Customer, you have good taste. This arrangement is specially ordered by the boss. If you want anything, you can go to the special area to take a look. Look over there, that's the experience area. After you choose what you want, you can experience it there. On the other side, there's also a rest area. If you're tired, you can take a rest. The waiter in a uniform green robe introduced them one by one. Let's see it ourselves. The waiter tactfully retreated to the side. Xin Yu walked around with Shang Junlin and picked a little of each item. This paper is interesting. In front of Shang Junlin were 2 kinds of rice paper in light blue and light pink. The former was printed with a light green bamboo, and the latter was printed with a large piece of blooming peony. They were placed in exquisite wooden boxes. Xin Yu took a box of light blue paper and called the waiter. Where's your boss? He said that a young master surnamed Yu is looking for him. The waiter had never seen Xin Yu before, but he knew that Xin Yu and Shang Junlin had an extraordinary aura. He had been in the shop for a long time, and knew that such people were either rich or respectable. He didn't dare to neglect them. Please wait for a moment, I'll go now. After the waiter left, Shang Junlin lowered his voice and asked, Did you also come up with these designs? He knew that Xin Yu had a lot of strange ideas, from big ones that could shake the imperial court to small ones that could create new snacks. Now there was this new shop that was full of novelty. It really brought him surprises all the time. I just made some small suggestions. I didn't expect them to make the finished products so quickly. Yu's small suggestions often make things extraordinary. Shang Junlin tapped his forehead. Water control method, cement method, ice making method. Which one of them wouldn't cause a huge sensation? While they were talking, the shop owner quickly walked over. The shop owner was a middle-aged man in his 30s. When he heard that a young master surnamed Yu had come to the shop, he hurried outside. Young master, do you want to talk inside? The shop owner saw that Xin Yu was acting intimately with a tall man, and his footsteps were almost floating. He knew Xin Yu's identity, so the identity of the man who came with Xin Yu and acted intimately with Xin Yu was self-evident. Xin Yu turned to Shang Junlin. Shang Junlin looked back at him. If Yu wants to go, then go. Xin Yu was about to answer when a green-clothed waiter hurriedly ran over. Shopkeeper, it's not good. Those people are here again. What happened? It's nothing. Young masters, please come with me to the inner room for a while. How can it be nothing? The green-clothed waiter's face showed disgust. Those people just see that our business is better than theirs, so they often come to harass us. They don't even know how to reflect on themselves. Shut up. The shop owner sternly reprimanded. While they were talking, the noise came from afar. Oh, there are quite a lot of customers in the shop today. Boss, Have you considered the suggestion I made last time? Chapter 101. The shopkeeper's face became ugly. He didn't want to disturb the nobles. He just wanted to get rid of them as soon as possible. He coldly said, "I said it's impossible. Look at you, you don't have anyone behind you. Why don't you merge with my shop? Then you won't have to worry about anyone finding trouble with you in the future, right?" The speaker's tone was sloppy, like a cat teasing a mouse. "You don't have to worry about my business. You are not welcome here. Please leave." The shopkeeper's attitude was firm. After a few words, the man had already walked in front of them. Xinyu also saw clearly what kind of person came to find trouble. He was about 20 years old. He was wearing a golden robe and a golden crown inlaid with various colored gems. The feeling he gave people could be described with one word: rich. His appearance was not bad. He was waving a golden fan. From inside to outside, the word dandy was written. The man swaggered in with a group of servants behind him. The old customers in the shop were accustomed to this scene. The new customer caused some disturbance, but it was quickly pacified. "Who is this person?" Xinyu asked. He didn't remember anything related to this person. He thought that this person was not an official. "He is the young master of Minister Jin's family. Since the shop opened, he comes here every few days. At first, he just wanted to buy some brushes and ink. Later, he began to ask me to merge the shop with his shop." The shopkeeper smiled bitterly. This shop was newly opened. He was also the owner of a shop. But he encountered some bad things and had to sell the shop. He happened to meet Xinyu's people and became Xinyu's subordinate. After the shop changed its owner behind the scenes, Xinyu ordered to change the business model. The originally deserted shop suddenly became popular. Even if it was in a remote location, there was an endless stream of customers every day. Later, with the introduction of patterned rice paper, its reputation spread and the business became better. At this time, the young master of the Jin family insisted on buying the shop. In the blink of an eye, the young master of the Jin family had already arrived in front of the four people. He closed his fan and pressed it against his chin. "Then tell me, what do you want to agree to my request? Do you want me to let you manage the shops under my name? That shop of yours has always been losing money. What's the use of giving it to us shopkeepers?" The green-robed servant was indignant. "Isn't this your shopkeeper's miraculous hands? If I remember correctly, this shop has been losing money before, right?" Jin Gongzi was not angry even after being rebuked. His expression was still the same as before. Xinyu observed him for a moment and found that he was really not angry. He originally thought that this person was looking for trouble, but now it seemed that this was not the case. What exactly did this young master Jin want to do? "Don't look for me again, I won't agree." If he didn't feel that Jin Gongzi had no malice, the boss wouldn't have talked to him. Why? From time to time, the eyes of the surrounding guests swept over them. Xinyu saw that Jin Gongzi was unwilling to give up, so he said, "Let's talk somewhere else." Young Master Jin was reluctant. He wanted to ask, "Who are you? Why can you make the decision?" But seeing that the boss had no objection, he silently swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. The four of them went into the inner room. The boss glanced at Xinyu, and Xinyu nodded slightly at him. "I can't agree to your request, no matter how generous your conditions are, because this shop doesn't belong to me." The boss explained. "Ah." Jin Gongzi was dumbfounded. "Haven't you always been the owner of this shop? You know about my past?" He didn't know anyone with a status like the Jin family before. "You haven't moved your shop, so of course I know that you used to be the owner of this shop. I also know that there were always people looking for trouble with you. You didn't sell the shop to that person, right? You might as well sell it to me." The boss had a headache because of his jumpy thoughts. "What are you thinking? Now this shop is young Master Yu's." Jin Gongzi followed the boss's line of sight and looked at Xinyu. Xinyu nodded slightly. "No wonder you are so respectful to them. It turns out that they are the new owners." Jin Gongzi muttered. "Now can you tell me what's going on?" Xinyu said in a low voice. The boss also wanted to know why Jin Gongzi was so diligent. Jin Gongzi was stared at by several people, so he didn't look away. It's Zhou Dingsheng. I don't get along with him. When I saw him instructing his servants to make you unable to stay in this place, I didn't let him succeed. Since you now have a new owner, you won't be bullied by him anymore. These days, the Zhou family didn't come looking for trouble because you stopped them? No one knew who the real owner of this shop was except for him. At first, he was curious about why the Zhou family stopped. He didn't expect that someone was secretly helping him. Jin Gongzi swaggered into the shop every day with a group of servants. When the Zhou family saw it, they didn't dare to do anything. Although the Zhou family was a little rich, they couldn't be compared with the Jin family. The misunderstanding was cleared up, so Jin Gongzi left with his servants. The purchase of the shop didn't go through Xinyu's hands, so he didn't know about it. Now that he knew, he couldn't completely ignore it. What's going on? Xinyu's knuckles tapped on the wooden table. Before Gongzi's people found me, I was already at my wit's end. The Zhou family took a fancy to this place and wanted to take it by force. At that time, the shop's business was not good, and someone maliciously hindered it, so the old customers also ran away. After a period of renovation, the shop was closed for a period of time. When it was reopened, the Zhou family didn't come looking for it. He thought that Xinyu's people warned the Zhou family behind their back. He was just a small boss, so he couldn't do anything to the Zhou family. But for any aristocratic family in Beijing, the Zhou family was nothing. Since you work for me, if there's anything you can't solve, just tell me directly. Xinyu would naturally protect people who worked for him conscientiously. Xinyu looked at the shop's account book and asked about the shop's situation and future plans. The boss of the bookstore knew what was going on, so his answers were basically satisfactory to Xinyu. There were other shops to check, so Xinyu didn't stay for long. How much does you know about the boss of this shop? In the carriage, Shang Junlin fed Xinyu a peeled pine nut candy. Xinyu was greedy and asked Shang Junlin to buy the pine nut candy when they passed by a small stall just now. Shang Junlin always agreed to Xinyu's small requests, so he got off the carriage and bought 2 packets. The pine nut candy was very sweet. Xinyu narrowed his eyes with satisfaction. At that time, I was in the palace, so I couldn't do many things myself. So I handed them over to my subordinates. At that time, my subordinates sent me a message saying that there was a shop that needed to be sold. All the requirements met my requirements, so I asked them to buy the shop. Later, I learned that the original boss of the shop had been doing this for generations, so I let him continue to manage it. The boss's surname is Yi, and he has lived in the capital for generations. He's kind and doesn't have any bad relationships with people. As for his relationship with the Zhou family, I'm not sure. Xinyu couldn't know everything that happened to every one of his subordinates. This person gives me a familiar feeling. Shang Junlin frowned. Maybe it's my illusion. If your majesty is worried, then let the hidden dragon guards check it out. Check on the Zhou family too. Okay. Then the 2 of them went to the jewelry shop. This shop was located in the busiest area in the capital. There was an endless stream of people coming and going. They didn't enter the shop, but went to the backyard from the side. Among all the shops, this shop had the most beautiful accounts. It even opened a branch not long ago. Xinyu didn't expect a woman's purchasing ability to be so amazing. After receiving the news, the shopkeeper put down what he was doing and welcomed the 2 of them in. Young master, have some tea. This shop was left behind by Xinyu's mother. The shopkeeper was also an old man by Xinyu's side. In the past few years, the shop wasn't doing well, and the shopkeeper felt guilty. Later on, with the prescription given by Xinyu, he developed a new product, and it became one of the most profitable shops in the capital. Only then did the guilt in his heart disappear. He worked harder and harder. Xinyu only gave him a few new products. The shopkeeper came up with different ways to make and sell them. Some were for the ladies of aristocratic families, and some were for ordinary ladies. The former was exquisite and expensive, while the latter was cheap and expensive. Both were very popular. Xinyu took a sip of tea and listened to the shopkeeper talk about the results. There was a trace of a smile in his eyes. You've done well. The shopkeeper was flattered. You flatter me. If not for the prescription given by you, I wouldn't have been able to revive the shop. Not only was the business flourishing, but they also opened a new branch. There were partners who took the initiative to come to them. Young master, there is one more thing. Some time ago, a young master named Yanzheng came to us and asked if we could talk about cooperation. The shopkeeper remembered something important. I can't make a decision on this matter. Does young master want to cooperate with him? What kind of person do you think he is? Is he worth cooperating with? Shenyu put down his cup. Yanzheng, the person who took the initiative to give money to the Ministry of Works to build roads, had also had a meal with them. He came to me several times. He has an extraordinary way of talking and acts appropriately. If young master wants to find someone to cooperate with, you can consider him. It seems that shopkeeper Su thinks highly of him. Shopkeeper Su had worked for Shenyu for so many years, but the number of times he praised someone like this was very few. I just think that the idea he put forward is very reasonable. Shopkeeper Su turned around and took out a book from the shelf. I organized this according to his ideas. Young master, you can take a look first. Shenyu took it and skimmed through it. He had to admit that this plan was very perfect. Everything that needed to be considered had been taken into account. Alin, take a look too. After Shenyu finished reading, he handed the book to Shang Junlin. Shang Junlin gently nodded after reading it. Shenyu knew that he could only take out more things in the future. If he wanted to cooperate, it would definitely be long-term. Before cooperating, he should at least have a certain understanding of the partner. I will consider the cooperation. If he comes to you again, tell him that I will talk to him personally. Shenyu paused for a moment and added, before that, you should organize Yanzheng's information and give it to me. Yes. Shopkeeper Su was surprised. He didn't expect that Shenyu would come in person. He silently remembered this matter. In the blink of an eye, it was time for dinner. Are we going back to the palace or after dinner? Shang Junlin asked in the carriage. Let's go to the Yingxing Tower. Shenyu had a good impression of the Yingxing Tower. The carriage turned around and drove towards the Yingxing Tower. Your Majesty, you didn't seem very happy just now. Why? Shang Junlin wasn't very happy in the second half of the conversation with shopkeeper Su. If you want to cooperate, you can just let his subordinates do it. He doesn't need to do it personally. It turned out that it was because of this matter. Shenyu laughed out loud. What are you laughing at? Shang Junlin pinched Shenyu's chin, his eyes deep. Your Majesty, don't you think that today we are particularly like a husband accompanying his wife to inspect a shop? Chapter 102. Shang Junlin's cold expression froze. Ha ha ha. Shenyu found it funny. She grabbed Shang Junlin's wrist and said, Your Majesty can come with me if you're worried. Or is it that Your Majesty doesn't want me to see? I'll go with you. Without waiting for Shenyu to finish, Shang Junlin interrupted her and stroked the delicate skin on Shenyu's chin. Since you has admitted our relationship, as her husband, I should accompany my wife. Shenyu heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that he had dealt with the person. However, before he could finish his sigh of relief, the man leaned over. Since we're husband and wife, shouldn't you fulfill the duties of a husband and wife? Her whisper disappeared from her lips. The man's breath swept over and wrapped Shenyu in it before she could react. She felt a warm touch on her lips and her chin was clamped by a strong hand. She couldn't break free. Shenyu was kissed by the man in his arms without any resistance. The man's kiss was overbearing and powerful. It rushed forward with an indomitable momentum, vowing to conquer every space. Under the man's powerful attack, Shenyu was utterly defeated. The slight sound of water could be heard in the enclosed space. Their clothes rubbed against each other and made a rustling sound. The black clothes blended into the blue clothes and became one. Unknowingly, her chin was released. Shang Junlin held Shenyu's soft waist with one hand and pressed the back of Shenyu's head with the other. He held her tightly in his arms. When doing this, Shang Junlin was as domineering as ever. Shenyu closed her eyes and focused all her senses on her lips. Her lips were sucked and her mouth was occupied. Under the storm, she could only drift along with the man's movements. The kiss was over. Shang Junlin still refused to let go of the person in his arms. His lips touched Xinyu and touched her gently as if he was comforting her. Xinyu's breathing was unstable, the corners of her eyes were dyed red, and her lips were as red as if she had applied rouge, glistening with tears. Shang Junlin's eyes darkened. He wanted to kiss her again, but he only kissed Xinyu's hand. She bit Xinyu's palm with dissatisfaction. If you continue to kiss me, I won't be able to see anyone later. Xinyu's voice was muffled. Let's go straight back to the palace. Xinyu shook his head. His attitude was firm. What a joke. If he went back like this, wouldn't he be like a lamb in a tiger's den? Wouldn't he be troubled by Shang Junlin for the rest of the night? Shang Junlin couldn't resist him, so he could only give up the idea of continuing. He kissed Xinyu's face twice before releasing him. In the following time, Xinyu tidied up his clothes. When he was almost recovered, they arrived at Yingxing Tower. At this time, other than her lips being a little red, Xinyu's face didn't have any abnormalities. The two walked into Yingxing Tower. The waiter warmly welcomed them. 2 guests, please come in. Would you like to sit in the hall or in a private room? Private room, Shang Junlin said. Okay, please follow me. Yingxing Tower was very lively. The hall was full of people. It was different from the simple and elegant decorations during the imperial examinations. The whole Yingxing Tower was brightly lit and magnificent. The difference was huge. It didn't seem like the same restaurant at all. When they went up to the second floor, they could occasionally hear the sound of musical instruments from other private rooms. Yingxing Tower does other business? Xinyu stopped. Are you talking about the sound of musical instruments? They are not from our tower. Some guests will bring 1 or 2 girls to add to the fun. Xinyu faintly said, yes, and changed the topic. You seem to be very different from before. You mean during the imperial examinations? Our boss specially ordered us to open this time every 3 years for those who go to the capital to study for the imperial examinations. The rest of the time, we operate as usual. Your boss is a wonderful person. The waiter led the 2 of them to a private room. Xinyu ordered the dishes with ease. Do you have any new snacks recently? What a coincidence. We happen to have some in our tower recently. The waiter introduced them nonstop. Xinyu chose a few with pleasant names. Sure enough, the customers of this restaurant are usually high officials and nobles. After the waiter left, Xinyu sighed. The price of each dish was several times more expensive than the last time they came. If it's like before, this restaurant can't continue to operate. Do you want to drink water? Xinyu nodded. He happened to be thirsty. Shang Junlin took the teapot on the table and poured a cup of tea for the 2 of them. They didn't have to wait long. Soon, the dishes were served one by one. The last one was Xinyu's dessert. The fruit was cut into small pieces and mixed with milk evenly. There were finger-sized ice cubes inside. It was similar to what Xinyu ate in Yuzhang Palace. Xinyu stirred it with a spoon. This is? Customer, you have good taste. This is a recipe from the palace. It's best to eat it in summer. This is also the best-selling dessert in our tower. Xinyu scooped a spoonful and put it into his mouth. He didn't know how the milk got rid of the fishy taste, leaving only the sweetness. The fruit was fresh and juicy. With the cold texture, eating a bowl of it in the hot summer was indeed a pleasure. After Xinyu tasted it, he looked at the other bowl. There were also ice cubes in the other bowl, but the fruit was cut into smaller pieces. Instead of milk, there was a transparent liquid like water in the other bowl. The waiter followed Xinyu's gaze and introduced, "There's fruit wine in this bowl. Don't worry, it's not intoxicating. Children can also eat it." Speaking of which, we have to thank the imperial court for selling ice at such a low price. Otherwise, ordinary people can't afford it, let alone make these desserts. The ice sold by the imperial court was divided into 2 categories. One was ordinary ice used to cool people down, so the price was lower. The other was edible ice, so the price was higher. However, no matter how high the price was, ordinary people could still afford it. It was not like the previous price, which was so expensive that it made people feel intimidated. Shang Junlin and Xinyu didn't like to be served. After all the dishes were served, they sent the waiter away. Yingxing Tower's dishes were delicious. The tempting aroma greeted them. However, Xinyu didn't pay much attention to these dishes. Instead, his eyes fell on a small bowl. It was the fruit wine ice brew that the waiter had just introduced. Xinyu had been craving for wine for a long time. However, Shang Junlin was strict and didn't let him drink at all. Now that he finally had a chance, Xinyu couldn't wait to put the small bowl in front of him. "I'll just have a taste." Xinyu put the spoon into his mouth. He was slightly disappointed. There was only a very light taste of wine, which was completely different from what Xinyu had imagined. After casually eating 2 mouthfuls, Xinyu lost interest. He preferred the bowl with milk, which was sweeter. Shang Junlin found it funny. He took the half bowl that Xinyu hadn't finished and ate it. "Your Majesty, what do you think?" Xinyu supported his chin and looked at Shang Junlin. "Is the taste of wine slightly lighter? You wants to drink wine?" Shang Junlin and Xinyu ate and lived together. Because Xinyu's body couldn't drink wine, he hadn't drunk wine for a long time. Xinyu nodded. The tip of his tongue slid over his lower lip and licked the milk stained on it. Some images flashed through his mind. Shang Junlin's eyes were dark. Before Xinyu could react, he had pulled him into his arms and kissed him deeply. Shang Junlin's kiss had always been far from gentle. It was like a fierce beast patrolling its territory. Every move of his carried a strong force that couldn't be disobeyed. This kiss was especially heavy. It was as if he wanted to mark every part of Xinyu's body. He didn't let go of any part of Xinyu's body. The kiss was very deep. Xinyu's tongue was numb. His fingers weakly grasped the clothes on Shang Junlin's shoulders. After a long time, Shang Junlin let go of Xinyu. His lips lingered on Xinyu's face. Xinyu leaned on Shang Junlin's arm. It took a while for him to recover. "What's wrong, Your Majesty?" Xinyu asked, panting. Shang Junlin stroked Xinyu's lips with his fingers and gently pressed. He didn't answer the question. Ayu's lips are so soft. "Xinyu." Shang Junlin didn't say anything else. He tidied up Xinyu's clothes. "It's late. Let's go back to the palace." It was already dark outside. There was a curfew in Dahuan. After a while, they wouldn't be able to stay on the streets. Official Fang kept in touch with the imperial court every day. After Yin County, they would reach the border of Subei. The situation was getting worse. In order to ensure that they could reach Subei as soon as possible, Official Fang chose the shortest route. There was an army accompanying them on the way, so they didn't have to worry about bandits. Even so, they were still ambushed near Subei. There weren't many casualties, but a batch of disaster relief supplies was stolen. The atmosphere in the main hall was oppressive. Shang Junlin sat on the dragon throne and looked down coldly. "Ministers, what do you think about this matter?" "I think that this matter must be investigated thoroughly." The Prime Minister was the first to stand up. "I second that." With the first to stand up, the other ministers also stood up one after another. "This matter will be handed over to the Prime Minister to handle." When they returned to Yuzhang Palace, Shang Junlin immediately hugged Xinyu. Xinyu felt that the man was in a bad mood. He patted him on the back and asked, "What's wrong, Your Majesty?" Fang Jun and the others encountered bandits. Xinyu paused. Where did the bandits come from? How dare they steal disaster relief supplies from the imperial court? They were attacked in Yin County. I've already asked the Prime Minister to investigate. I'm afraid that this matter isn't as simple as it seems. Are Official Fang and the others all right? I secretly sent some people to accompany them. If it weren't for these people, the loss wouldn't be so small. Shang Junlin's eyes were cold. These people obviously know the imperial court's arrangements very well. However, the imperial court's arrangements for disaster relief are public. Many people know about it. It's hard to determine who did it behind the scenes. Xinyu touched Shang Junlin's neck. Your Majesty, have some water first. You feed me. Shang Junlin rubbed Xinyu's face. Your Majesty, let go of me first. Shang Junlin let go. Xinyu walked to the table and poured a cup of tea. Shang Junlin didn't take it and just looked at him. Xinyu had no choice but to raise his arm and feed the tea to the man's mouth. After drinking the tea in this position, Shang Junlin took the cup from Xinyu's hand and put it aside. He hugged Xinyu again and said in a daze, I don't understand. Those are disaster relief supplies. Millions of people in Subei are waiting for them to save their lives. Why did they steal them? Your Majesty, you don't need to understand what these people are thinking. Just find out who did it and deal with them directly. There's no need to waste your breath. You is right. They only need to know that they are destined to pay for what they have done. We're missing a batch of supplies. Will the supplies that official Fong and the others brought be enough? Shin Yu thought of the most important problem. They can last for a while, but they must make up for the shortage as soon as possible. The Minister of Revenue is already gathering supplies. Shang Junlin thought of something and smiled. The Minister of Revenue was the one who reacted the most when the news came back. He was so angry that he directly scolded the robbers in court. It scared the ministers. They probably didn't expect that the Minister of Revenue, who has always been gentle and polite, would have such a side. Shin Yu couldn't help but laugh when he imagined the scene. Chapter 103. Yin County. The people with the remaining supplies temporarily stayed in place to rest. Lord Fong took a pot of water and walked to the other side. The closer he got to Subei, the more he could feel the heat and drought. Yin County was close to Subei, but it was also affected by the drought. The ground cracked, the flowers and plants on the roadside drooped their heads listlessly, and even the wind blowing in his face was hot. Not far from the relief team, a group of men in tight-fitting uniforms hid in the dark. Everyone wore a black mask with strange patterns on their faces, which tightly covered the upper half of their faces. It was because of the sudden appearance of these people that they did not suffer heavy losses. Before the incident, even Fong Jun did not know that there was such a team following them. Lord Fong expected that this trip would not be smooth sailing, but he did not expect those people to be so bold. The people they sent just happened to be able to suppress them. Lord Fong did not dare to imagine what would happen to them if Her Majesty did not have a backup plan. As he walked, Lord Fong recalled what happened at that time. It happened in the middle of the night. Except for the people on night watch, everyone else was fast asleep. Lord Fong was awakened by the sound of weapons clashing. His subordinates heard the sound and rushed over to protect him. Those people's purpose was clear. They were here for the relief supplies, so they did not use fire. In the sound of fighting, they gradually lost and fell into a disadvantageous position. Seeing that another cart of supplies was stolen, Lord Fong took his subordinate's sword and desperately slashed at the thieves. He hit the target, but he was also exposed to the enemy. A cold light flashed behind him, but it was too late to dodge. Fong Jun was not afraid of death. He only hated that he could not complete Her Majesty's task and send the relief supplies safely to Subei. The sharp sword approached. At the last moment, with a clatter, the long sword was flicked away and fell to the ground with a bang. Then there was the sound of a sharp weapon stabbing into a wound. Lord Fong wiped the blood splashed on his face. Only then did he realize that a group of people in black had filled the gap between the soldiers and fought with the enemy. In the dark night, these people in black were like ghosts, wandering the battlefield and taking away the enemy's life. The situation was reversed in an instant. Everyone, please drink some water. Master Fong walked to the front of the group, but didn't approach them rashly. After defeating the bandits, these people stayed behind to protect them in the dark. Later on, they were attacked a few more times. With these people around, they didn't suffer any losses. Instead, it was the other party who lost many people here. Lord Fong could faintly smell the scent of blood. Without any explanation, he handed the water bottle to the leader. Are you injured? I've brought some emergency medicine. Wait for me, I'll get it for you. No need. The voice of the men in black was as cold as the masks on their faces. This is the medicine that I specifically requested from Imperial Physician Gu of the Imperial Hospital before I came here. You know Imperial Physician Gu, right? He's an imperial physician who specializes in nurturing the noble lord's body. His medical skills are very brilliant. I thought that this trip would not be peaceful, so I asked for some emergency medicine. See, it just so happens that I can use it. Lord Fong could sense that the young man in front of him wasn't too old. Furthermore, the other party had saved his life, so he had a good impression of him. Hearing the name, the man in black swallowed his words of refusal. I know that you're protecting us because you're following orders, but you should also protect yourselves. If you're injured, how are you going to protect us? The same goes for the people you brought with you. If you need anything, just say it. Lord Fong couldn't help but ramble. The young man chuckled. Do the people in the imperial court know that Lord Fong is so meticulous? I don't need them to know what to do. Lord Fong waved his hand. I'll go get the medicine for you. Wait a moment. Lord Fong came back with the medicine. There were several bottles of medicine of different sizes. At a glance, one could tell that it was Imperial Physician Gu's style. Seeing the young man take the medicine and stuff it into his clothes, Lord Fong smiled with satisfaction. You can't ignore your health. Remember to apply the medicine properly. Thank you for the medicine, Lord Fong. The man in black clasped his hands. No need. If anyone should thank someone, I should be the one thanking you for saving my life. Lord Fong stopped him. Then his expression turned serious. I'm afraid that the next part of the journey won't be easy. I'll have to trouble you. After Lord Fong finished speaking, he went back. He was the main person in charge of the disaster relief this time. There were still many things to do. After resting and reorganizing, Lord Fong took people to count the supplies. He wrote down the losses and surplus in a memorial, and sent it back to the imperial court. Then he took people to continue north. Their mission had just begun. After receiving the memorial from Subei, Shang Junlin immediately summoned the Prime Minister and the Minister of Revenue to discuss the next step of the plan. Subei involved a lot of people and was a solid barrier for Dahuan in the north. No matter what, nothing could happen to it. Imperial Physician Gu seems to have something on his mind. Did something happen? After taking his pulse, Xinyu saw that Imperial Physician Gu was distracted and asked. It's this subject's younger brother. He said that he had to go out for a few days. It's been more than 10 days and there's been no news from him. Imperial Physician Gu didn't have any friends who could talk about these things. He was really worried, so Xinyu couldn't help but ask. Gu Huai. Yes, Xiao Huai has never been separated from me for so long in his life. I don't know where he went or if he's in danger. Imperial Physician Gu frowned slightly. Don't worry, Imperial Physician Gu. Gu Huai will be fine. Thank you for your comfort. At night, Xinyu nestled in Shang Junlin's arms and asked about Gu Huai. Your Majesty, do you know where Gu Huai went? Why are you suddenly asking about him? Shang Junlin pinched Xinyu's face. Who said something to you? Xinyu. It's Imperial Physician Gu. He was worried about his younger brother and said a few words to me. Shang Junlin. Do you still remember that I sent people to secretly follow Fong Jun? Xinyu. Your Majesty is saying that the person who secretly followed Lord Fong to Subei was Gu Huai. Shang Junlin nodded. Machem. Xinyu, why did your Majesty think of sending him? Shang Junlin. First, no one in the court knows about Gu Huai. Sending him is convenient to avoid people's eyes and ears. Second, I see that he is a talented general and want to give him an opportunity to perform meritorious service. The Dahuan Kingdom's way of becoming an official was fixed, and only the military officials had room to maneuver. But now that the Dahuan Kingdom was peaceful, and there was no war, this path had been blocked. If one wanted to become an official, they could only obediently follow the rules. I can't always personally lead the troops. Dahuan should also have a group of qualified military officials. Shang Junlin lifted a strand of Xinyu's hair and twirled it between his fingers. After the disaster of the previous emperor, Dahuan's interior could be said to be devastated. The civil officials were still fine, but it was not an exaggeration to say that there was no successor for the military officials. When the previous emperor was on the throne, the capable military officials were all demoted or even killed for various reasons. The ones who replaced them were all idiots. If not for this, Dahuan would not have lost so many battles and lost so much of its territory. Does your Majesty want to rehabilitate those generals? Xinyu turned over and lay on Shang Junlin's body. Those generals are not the only ones who need to be rehabilitated. Many ministers who wholeheartedly served the country were also sacrificed. I want to wash away the stain on their bodies. While speaking, Shang Junlin stared into Xinyu's eyes. Xinyu couldn't help but blink. She lowered her head and rubbed Xinyu's cheek. Your Majesty can definitely do it. Shang Junlin reached out and wrapped his arms around Xinyu's waist. His eyes were as black as ink. If it was a Yu's wish to be a wise emperor, he was willing to be the most qualified emperor in a Yu's mind, as long as a Yu was willing to stay by his side forever. The disaster relief matters were arranged in an orderly manner. As for the bandits, Shang Junlin also handed them over to a general in the north. They were determined to catch them. However, they still encountered a problem in the disaster relief matter. A part of the supplies were stolen. Although the imperial court kept some as backup, it was not enough. Subei was too big, including the entire Subei army. The consumption was astonishing. It was unknown when the drought would end. If it dragged on for too long, the imperial court could not afford it. After the Minister of Revenue peeled off the second batch of supplies, he calculated the remaining quantity and had to come to Shang Junlin with a bitter face. At this time, Shang Junlin was discussing the alcohol with Xinyu in Yuzhang Palace. After more than a month of trial and error, Xinyu finally succeeded in producing the first bottle of medical alcohol. She sent the alcohol to Yuzhang Palace as soon as possible. Eunuch Meng walked in from outside. Your Majesty, the Minister of Revenue requests an audience. It's probably about the disaster relief supplies. Your Majesty, can I come with you? Xinyu had some thoughts about this matter. Then you will accompany me to the imperial study. Therefore, when the Minister of Revenue arrived at the imperial study, he saw Xinyu and Shang Junlin. Your Majesty, Your Majesty. Although he did not understand why Your Majesty was here, the Minister of Revenue still bowed respectfully. Your Majesty, I have an important matter to report. Yes, Your Majesty. Your Majesty, with all due respect, the National Treasury is not enough to support the disaster in Subei for a long time. If there is no other way, it can only last for a month at most. However, Your Majesty also knows that after the drought, there are often locusts, plagues, and other situations. I'm afraid that in a month, there was another very serious problem. After autumn, before winter, the nomads in the north would go south and rob everything they could. If Subei was still affected by the disaster at that time, Dahuan would be in danger. Do you have a plan? Shang Junlin certainly knew the seriousness of the problem. I have thought of two ways. One is to levy more taxes, and the other is to collect more taxes. These two methods can solve the urgent problem. The Minister of Revenue said in a deep voice. Shang Junlin frowned. The taxes in Dahuan were all collected at the end of the year. If they were collected now, many people would not be able to pay. Moreover, these two methods would take a certain amount of time to complete. From the local area to the capital and then to Subei, it would take too much time. It would also consume a lot of manpower and material resources. I also know that this method is not appropriate, but there was no other way for the time being. Your Majesty, I have an idea. Instead of levying more taxes and collecting more taxes, it will be voluntary donations. For the people, they will donate as much as they can. We can't affect their normal lives for the disaster relief. For the rich aristocrats or members of the imperial clan, we can give them a certain amount of rewards based on the amount they donate. This method focuses on the rewards. The rich all have a competitive mentality. Wouldn't it be better to let them donate voluntarily rather than forcibly collecting? The Minister of Revenue was a smart person. He could immediately figure out the difference between the two methods. If they were to change to voluntary donations, there would be no complaints. It would also give the donors a sense of honor. He cupped his hands and saluted Xinyu. Your Majesty is a great talent. Darren doesn't need to be so polite. The specific operation still needs Darren to take care of it. There are also the various vassals. Subei is in trouble. As relatives of the imperial clan, they should contribute to the country. After listening to Xinyu's words, the Minister of Revenue couldn't help but look at him again. He cupped his hands and said, I will do my best. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.